everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey guys, how you doing, guys? Hey there, Kelly. Hey, Patty. Hey, Haiti. Why so many undercover cops in the neighborhood that night? I mean, honestly, there's been a lot of people talking about a lot of different possibilities with that. Their answer is just this undercover alcohol thing. But a lot of people believe, and there's been a lot of things that have come out to make people believe that it went a lot deeper than that. Now, we did learn that there was something called Envision Idaho going on that night. That's recent, at least for me, to where there wasn't supposed to be any drinking or anything like that. As a matter of fact, the Sigma Chi party that happened at the lodge or the lounge, whichever one they use, wasn't supposed to happen because of this Envision Idaho thing. So that's the excuse that they give every time they get asked about that. Is this, oh, they're looking for people that are drinking, underage drinking people. But, you know, why was there a Fed there at the scene before the chief got there? And I always found it really strange that we're hearing that, like, the Fed guy didn't even go up to, like, introduce himself to Chief Fry. Like, he was just a guy in an FBI jacket, just sort of there. Already, you know, at the location, already in the MPD department's, like, office. It's just another one of them stupid things. Hey, let's, I've got something to say. How you doing? Yeah. That's what they claim it was. I don't really believe all that because there's a lot of questions behind the FBI thing. So if that was the case, then I don't know if it was just alcohol they were looking for with the feds being involved and other things being involved. I mean, I don't know how true a lot of the stuff is that has come out. I know that a lot of people had a number of like 50 people, 50 feds on the ground before the event even happened. I don't know if there were that many, but I do know that FBI was already in town. And something got them extremely interested in this case really early. Now, it could just simply be because it was wild to begin with. 4 murders, no one heard a thing, 8-hour delay. I don't know how much of that the FBI guy would have had to have heard in order to show up. I'm not really quite sure who even called him at that point. All I know is that in the book, Chief Fry's like, yeah, I didn't know who that was. He didn't introduce himself to me. He was just there. He was just there when I got there. They don't even talk to each other until the next day. And the way that the book lays it out is like magically, as Chief Fry is discussing getting the FBI involved, the guy just like appears at his door. Here I am. You know, it's very strange. Very, very strange. Hey, Ample Spark. Hey, Cammie. Hey, Sadie. Hey, May. Hey, Michelle. I've got some green tea. Actually, I mixed this one today. This is green tea that has jasmine in it. And then one of the chamomile honey lavender tea bags I have. So that hopefully it like helps me stay awake, but doesn't keep me awake too long, like afterwards. But then also relaxes me a little bit. We're going to see. It tastes good. That's all that really matters to me is it tastes good. I am here. I might be about 30 seconds behind that clock, but I always try to be here exactly on time. And if something happens, I make it very well known what is going on. You know, I keep forgetting to go and watch that damn thing. Where did my Post-it go? Obviously it fell because I'm looking at my Post-it board right now and I do not see it. I still have to go and watch that. I keep forgetting. But yeah, I find it interesting that we still haven't come across any documents. Oh, and hello, Sleeping Duck and Angie. How y'all doing? I find it interesting that we haven't come across any documents that make it seem as if we're reading about something that Enon Harsh said. After all this time. Hey, so much corruption. How you doing? 8:15. I set it for 8:15. We go live at 8:15 a lot. It's usually like 6:45, 7:15, 7:45, or 8:15. I don't know why I have a thing for 5s. I just do. I need to finish mine. I started to like redo them and it's just not really working for me. So I'll fix it later. Hey there, Gina. And I gotta dye my hair now. You'll see this disgusting mess. See this? I let Don pick my shade and he went to a more hot pink color than the red. I let him walk into Sally's with me the other day and choose it. So we're going to be more pink. I might match my walls. I don't know if that's going to be a good idea. I guess we'll find out. Hey, Gina. Hey, Jay Bloom. Hey, Marie. See, these actually, you know what I really want to do? I want to find a company that will let me create some for the channel that are the like little sticker ones and like have like at least 3 of them to where it has like one of each of the monkeys like on at least 3 and then some sort of black background and then something maybe just plain black with maybe like a color matching small type glitter in the background. I've thought about that for like a super long time because I like getting my nails done, but then like it leaves such horrible divots in my nail and like I've getting bruises and stuff like that. So I just didn't do it again because I didn't like what it was happening. But I've thought about doing something like that. I just don't know what company would let me do that. So I'm going to work on that. It's been one of my things. Hey, Jenna, how you doing? Or Jens, how you doing? Hey, Bluebird. It's for 8:15. It was for 8:15. No. Hey, Bryce, how you doing? Hey, Majestic. Hey, Red Riding Hood. Hey, Renee. Hey, 8PMB. Hey, Pammy. Hey, Miranda. Hey, Miller Time. We're about to read another 20 of these documents. I know that here today on Twitter, I noticed a lot of people, hey, Kimberly, are doubling down on it being Hunter being discussed in that document that we went over last night where it says something about the person being in some sort of relationship with both Xana and with what it looks like one of the other roommates. It doesn't give the name for which one it is. It just says that it's one of the surviving roommates. I don't feel like that's the case. I don't want to say that I'm completely. I never want to say that I'm completely right. But I feel like I don't know if the Chapins would have like allowed her around. You know what I mean? And there was like instances where she went up to the lake and stuff with them. I just don't feel like they would have been okay with it. And they would have probably thrown more of a fit about it in like, you know, while he was alive. If she had been with Hunter first and then like went to Ethan. And I don't know. That just seems like really far-fetched to me. I mean, I know it happens. Okay, I know that people are shysty as shit. All right, I get that. But there's nothing else like anyone else ever has ever said to allude to that. And yes, I know that they've hidden lots of stuff from us over the years. I know. I'm aware. But I'm just still not convinced that that's who that's about. But that seems to be the theme that everyone's running with over on Twitter. I just don't think I can. It just doesn't fit for me. If that makes any sense. It just doesn't fit for me. It was on 2 different things? That's wild, because usually if it's hooked up to the same Wi-Fi, it should all be the same. That's crazy. Oh my god, yeah, bro. Roll my eyes, like, all the way in the back of my head as much as I possibly can. The way that he's describing stuff is wild. The way that he says certain things is just insane to me, and I'm like, okay, so you're calling him your drinking buddy, and if he's sitting here saying stuff about how like the big thing that really got on my nerves with that was that he was trying to say that Professor Snyder is trying to say that Kohberger wanting to talk to people after class was some sort of like control technique. And I'm like, okay, so would he have rather him start conversations with him in the middle of class? Because isn't that normally whenever people that are working like do talk for like a few minutes, like at the end of the shift, at the end of the day, whenever everybody's like getting ready to go, there's always like some conversation. This is also like a really socially awkward person that was autistic, and there's no way that they didn't know about his autism. I just feel like there's no way that that's like possible, unless he really just like never told anyone so that he didn't have a stigma on him, which I could totally understand that too. In my own way, when it comes to certain things, I can totally understand that. So I don't know. It's just really exaggerative the way that this man is like describing things being said to him. And again, I always go back to, you know, especially reading the comments where everyone's like, "Oh my God, he's such a great professor. All these people are teaching the next generation." I'm like, to do what? Because not a single one of those people called in a tip about Bryan Kohberger being the dude, even after the bolo came out for the white Hyundai Elantra. So yeah, they're the next generation of lazy ass, useless people in the criminal justice field. Thanks for telling us. We already knew. Nobody, even the professor that complained about him all the time, apparently, to his drinking buddy, all these people that had a tally about Bryan, all of these things, even after the bolo came out, no one called him in. No one called in a tip about this dude right here, 10 minutes away. Is real creepy, bro. And guess what? Y'all just put that bolo out and he drives that same damn car. Y'all better get over here real quick. Not a single one of these people in the field. Because none of it mattered to them. It wasn't a red flag. It wasn't that serious until his face hit the news. So no, I'm not going to give any of them a pat on the back, even for coming out and saying something now about anything, because where was this obviously waste of money on an education that you're like talking about when it comes to this? Because no one called him in. Change career paths, because obviously this ain't the one for you. Ridiculous stuff. Ridiculous stuff. And the way that this guy said some stuff, I'm just like, well, if you had a drinking buddy, you probably don't have a drinking buddy anymore, because you basically just outed this professor for being aggravated with a TA for not letting him out of the classroom fast enough to get to the bar. You probably could have kept all of that to yourself. You probably really could have. Insane. Oh, no way. That sucks. Hope y'all feel better soon. Hey, Vivian. Hey, sweet savior. Yeah, exactly. New York Post. Hey, Gypsy Rose. Ridiculous. Hey, Whitney. Okay. I've been fighting with YouTube all day. Look, I didn't realize how many issues that there was until I got on the dashboard earlier, and I had like a bunch of notifications in the back end for creators about how there was issues like accessing Studio and getting on YouTube on different browsers. And I was like, dang, like they must have really done something crazy in this update. Oh, you're fine. We went to bed sort of like as soon as we got off the live, because I had something so early this morning. I still have so many emails I have to catch up on. I'm taking some time out to the day tomorrow to do all that, so I will get to them. I promise. Hey, Melinda. Hey, crazy cutie. How you doing? Hey, Trisha. Hey, Sydney. Hey, Crossroads. Okay, you guys. We're gonna start reading. We are gonna start reading. Hey, Angie. Hey, Batsheet. Hey, Stella. Hey, Cross Tracy. Hello, everybody. Okay, we're gonna start reading. It's been about 18 minutes. Yeah, it was in the document. It was in one of the ISP ones that we've read over the past week. Somebody was talking about the party, and it was one of the many reports so far that we've seen where multiple people have mentioned that there wasn't a lot of people at that party and that it was really strict about who could go in there. But I really wonder, like, how strict could it have been? Because, like, at this point, we have Dylan going to the party too at some point, not for long, but she was there. Then we had Maddie showing up over there too. And this was supposed to be very, very strict. Everybody on a list, everybody with the +1, the Hunga Dunga thing, and the Sigma Chi. Like, it wasn't just like anybody can just come in, because it wasn't even supposed to be happening because of this Envision Idaho thing. So when I go back in and I like get all the indexing and stuff done, that'll be one of the like parts of that document's index information, so it'll be easier to find. But yeah, it was something that they mentioned. It was something that they mentioned, and I was like, well, that's interesting, because it was Parents Weekend the weekend before. Now they have Parents Weekend at WSU, and now they have this like Envision Idaho. Let's see if we can actually pull up some more information of it online, what it says. Because I'm pretty sure that it was just like some sort of I mean, it does talk about it on the website itself. Oh, never mind. You click on the thing on Google that says something about Envision Idaho at the University of Idaho, and you get a big old 404. Let me show you. Okay, so let me fix where I'm at right here. Okay. Woo. So you see how like I typed in Envision Idaho, and it shows it right here. I didn't click this one. I clicked one down here where it says like it's an admissions event. You click on it though, and it does this. So maybe it gets updated every time they do it, and that's like older information. Click on this one. Okay, this one pops up something. They changed the dates this time. Okay, so Envision is University of Idaho's preview day for high school students and prospective transfer students. Family and friends are also welcome. So does this mean that there was a bunch of strangers at the University of Idaho that weekend too, and that we didn't know really anything much about it because it wasn't Parents Weekend? Because this is what they said in the document. So if this was if this is true, that means that there was a bunch of people in and out that area that weren't supposed to be in that area normally. It's a preview day for high school students and prospective transfer students. Envision is University of Idaho's preview day. Friends and family are invited to join. Tour world-class learning environments and discover all the resources that are available to you as a vandal. Explore what interests you with hundreds of student clubs. Yeah, it's basically like you come and you tour the campus. And this year it's this year it's October 3rd, and then again on November 1st. So does that mean that last year's was on the 11th? It actually is pretty interesting. It actually is. Because if that was really the case for that night, and that's why they were sort of like pounding down on the no alcohol thing and making sure that that wasn't the situation going on because they were trying to make a good impression, then that would technically mean that there were a bunch of other people in town that were not maybe like of that area for this touring event. I honestly want to get a hold of the university and ask them for sure about that, if they'll even tell me, because I highly doubt it, but maybe I can get some information about that. That is interesting though. I didn't even think to like look it up and see what it was really about. I was just like, oh, that's wild that we're getting like a name for something now. Is that the I know that you had that was in like your headline thing. Is that the one where she interviewed with Vicky Ward? Whitney, is that the one? Because I think I mentioned, I don't know if that's the one, but that's I mentioned that one the other day because I was like, so she interviewed Ava before, like for the book, right? And she's sitting there in her video, which I still haven't done my like video on or whatever, but she's like basically telling her, for those who haven't read the book and who don't know the story, tell them exactly what it is that the state just thought that you just had something so important to say that they wanted you to testify at the trial. And Ava starts with, well, I was subpoenaed by the defense. And I was like, wow, you are just like dumb all the way around. You don't even know anything about any of this that you've like talked about and researched and interviewed all these people since like 2023. And you don't even know like what team subpoenaed her. And she's just sitting there with like this look on her face. girl. Oh no, I hope you feel better. You should eat too, because why not? You only live once, right? You should eat too. That's wild. Yeah. Interesting, right? It was it. Yeah, I haven't done a video on it, but that's the one I wanted to do a video on. Yeah, and she's also the one that said that she had somebody else come and like jiggle her door, try to get into her apartment before. I was like, oh wow, so this is like something that just happens all the time out there. Interesting. Yeah, they didn't want a bunch of crazy parties. They weren't supposed to have like any parties at all. At all. From how it sounds. So it is interesting because it does mean that there was a bunch of other people in that area. So that area would have been saturated with more people than normal because of that event. And then WSU's area was oversaturated with people that weren't normally there because it was Parents' Weekend. Yeah. I'll do that too before I contact them, because that is really interesting. Okay, I wanted to show you guys this before we get started with the documents, because this is a hearing that's happening tomorrow. This is where Maddie Mogen's mom, Karen, went in and filed the temporary restraining order for the release of information. I have it on Odyssey, and I have it on this Trellis Law that Whitney sent me. This one has like, I feel like, better detail for what's actually going on. Like, I can't access the documents. Like, I don't know where the documents actually are. I see that people have them over on Twitter, and I've like read through some of them. But for me to go and like pull them myself, I've tried like a couple different ways, and I just don't see them. I'm not paying $80 a month for access on Odyssey or Trellis or whatever to get any more information. That's absolutely wild. So we're just going to see what happens tomorrow during the hearing. But what I wanted to show you guys was that it shows there's like more information that was filed. So here's where Stacy and Jim filed their memorandum in support of what Karen filed. And then we have up here, we have one for Maisie that was put in. Something else for Stacy. And then we also have the declaration of Lori M. Hopkins. I'm not sure if that's like one of the lawyers or not. I'm not really quite sure like who that actually is at all. But then Maisie's was amended, and we have the hearing tomorrow. This stuff is showing up like on here like this too. Stacy Chapin amended hers, it looks like, and then Maisie amended hers. So what I'm not seeing is something from Hunter. We have Jim and Stacy putting one together. Then we have this Lori Hopkins person. Again, I'm not really quite sure who that is. And then we have an amended one from Maisie and an amended one from Stacy, but nothing from Hunter. It is actually. Like, there's no way that she's not paying attention to all of the information and all the crazy stuff that just went down when it came to the PCA and all the lies in it. And if she's not paying attention, then that says a lot, because if my name was on something and all kinds of lies started coming about what I put my signature on, I would definitely be paying attention. Definitely be paying attention. Yeah. Yeah, that's basically the gist of it. I saw, I mean, like, I have the screenshots of the two pages of it, and I've seen it like floating around on Twitter and stuff, but that's basically like the gist of it, is that she didn't want stuff in there that could like victim blame. Honestly, I can't say that I really blame her for filing this after like reading one of the things. She mentioned something about underwear, and I guess I didn't think about it at the time, but I'm going to just assume that leopard print item that was next to the jeans and the boot in Maddie's room was maybe Maddie's underwear. I probably wouldn't want my daughter's underwear photos all over the damn place either. So I didn't think about that. Like, I thought maybe it could have been, but I didn't really think about that because that's not where my focus was. My focus was like, holy shit, this is her clothes. And there's some blood drips right here. We're looking at the blanket. We're looking at the door. I didn't really think about that. I don't even think we talked about that. It was just like, there's this leopard print thing. And we kind of like moved on. But I guess that could be because it was right there next to her pants. So I understand where she's like listing things off, but she did also say that. She also did say that there's something visual, or there could be something visual in there that could lead to victim blaming. But we want the sheath. We want the sheath. Show us the sheath. I mean, I would love to see the position that Kaylee was really in because of all the discrepancy that we've had with what the Goncalveses have said versus the way that pillow looks versus a lot of the stories. Because again, if it really is Kaylee that Dylan is hearing, and it might not be, it really could have been Xana. It really could have been Xana. There's a bunch of different ways this could have actually went down. And I think that maybe we just need to like stop listening to what everyone told us. Like literally everyone. I don't give a shit who it is. We're just going to stop listening to everything that they said and just think logically about how it could have actually happened without listening to the people trying to tell us how it happened. Because that's not working. That's not working. It's not. Because if you take the story from Dylan even a little bit, then you're going to have to believe that he didn't come in, or the people, it doesn't matter who. Whoever did this shit did not come in that second floor door with somebody in the living room area dancing around with their dog, playing music and singing. That's impossible. So it would almost make it seem as if whoever it was either did come in through that balcony, came in through some sort of third story window somehow, or they were hiding until they felt the need to come out. But why would that be the time where you still hear people actively awake and playing with their dog and music on and singing happening? Like, you would know people are not asleep. But her story, the story that she's telling just in general of anybody being on that second floor and awake and moving around, tells me there's no way that the person could have come in that way to start off anything on the third floor. So just then by itself, that doesn't work. So then you basically have to like rewind everything and be like, okay, everything did start on the second floor. And that's why Steve Goncalves was like, they didn't have to go upstairs. Because maybe it wasn't supposed to. Because that kind of makes more sense. I don't know. But nothing that they've told us is making anything work. So I really want to go back and just be like, okay, how could this have actually played out to where it might actually make sense without taking into consideration literally a damn thing that they've said. All we need is the timeline, and then we try to figure it out from there, because everything that they're telling us doesn't work. And sometimes you just have to start from scratch. Take away everything you've heard, go back to the basics, and start from there. So that might be what we do a little bit, because I'm trying to figure out a scenario to where someone actually came in through the second floor with all of that stuff still happening. All of that awakeness, all of that movement. And that doesn't work for me. Exactly. Like that part too. That's why like the video cameras are so important, because if they're coming from true evidence and they're not manipulated, then they're showing you the true timeline of people coming in and out of the neighborhood, the true timeline for whenever noises start happening, whenever things are getting louder, whenever Murphy starts freaking out, whenever we finally stop hearing him. But we need all of it. And there's got to be a reason why they're just refusing to release all of it. Like, it's not even anything that points at the house itself. So why are y'all being so stupid about it? Show us the freaking footage. All it is a 3-point little area in a street. It doesn't show anybody's business. Just show us the freaking video. Or does it? This should not be this way. This makes me mad. Like, none of this should be like this. Yeah, get outside of their box. That's the only way that I can think about at this point, that we have to think about it, because no one else has given us answers about literally anything. And even at this point, no definitive shit anything about what time Xana and Ethan got home. Nothing. So then we have to kind of like reverse that too, because what if Ethan was in his Jeep and parked it at the thing, and then him and Xana like walked over to King Road, and they decided to take the Ford Explorer back home. Maybe they didn't want to walk, and maybe that's just why it's parked there, like something simple. But instead, there's like all these different questions and all these like just assumptions about what actually happened, because nobody can give us a direct timeline for anything. No one can tell us anything that really just like stays concrete and specific. Because really the movements we need, I mean, we've got a lot of it, but we still don't have like true timelines. Most of it's coming from reports giving us timestamps in the reports that are being given to the police officers by the people in the interview. Everything that's given us like anything concrete, they're not showing it to us, which is sketchy as shit. Well, see, the problem with that is that came out of Jeff Kernodle's mouth, like in an interview about them being at home, ordering pizza. And then we saw Venmo transactions between Ethan and Xana that night that had a pizza emoji on it. And then there's Domino's pizza boxes in the back of the house. They were on top of the trash can in the photos that were first coming out, but now these ones that we're seeing, they're in a trash bag on like the ground next to the trash can. And then also in the Linda Lane footage, there is what appears to be a vehicle with that like triangular shaped, like Domino's looking thing on the top of it that passes by and you can see it. So that stuff sort of adds up. And then you also have to consider, and this is a video that I'm still trying to find time to put together, not to say anything horrible, but just to ask the question, because Jeff Kernodle says at the sentencing, he looks straight over at Kohberger and he's like, if I would have been there on that couch, you'd have had to deal with me. And he's talking about that instance right there, about him talking to Xana at around midnight and her being at home. And the whole like watching movies and pizza thing was like pieces of like 2 to 3 different interviews. But then he clarifies all of that again. Well, at least the portion of them being at home, him talking to her, and him supposed to go over there, but that he'd been drinking and he didn't want her to be mad at him. And Jasmine obviously wasn't going to let him drink and drive, so he didn't go over there. He says at the sentencing something about how she didn't feel good. But whenever we heard all of this originally, it was more like he didn't really say the reasoning. So everyone, when it came to like this 4chan party information and then hearing what he had to say, was like, there must have been some sort of fight or something that she must have told him about. But he says at the sentencing that she didn't feel good, which is, again, very interesting, because we also have Dylan now in a report telling someone that she couldn't drink because she just didn't feel like it. So do you not feel good because you're not drinking? So we can't really count on your intoxication level when it comes to this, when it comes to Xana? And then we also have to take into consideration what we are hearing from these other people, because everything else when it comes to Dylan drinking came from the judge. You know, good old Judge Hippler, who likes to protect the shit out of Dylan for some damn reason, is the one who put in a footnote how much she apparently drank. And then in her reports, she's like, it wasn't her Borg, it was somebody else's, and she was just basically sipping off of it. So she wasn't even that intoxicated, and she stopped drinking after she got home at 1:15. And all this stuff apparently went down 3 hours later. So she wasn't asleep. And then she even tells the police officer in the body cam that she was about to go to bed, trying to go to bed. Not that she was in a deep sleep and woken up and, oh my God, that's not the case. It's just so much. It's so freaking much. So much back and forth, so much bullshit. It literally drives me insane. But tomorrow is supposed to be the hearing for this situation. And if you look here, this is the normal case of interest website that we always go to. If you go to court live streams and then go down to Megan Marshall, and I gave this to you guys yesterday, but I'll do it again. I'm going to go live tomorrow. This is supposed to happen at 10 a.m. Laytall time. And I don't know off the top of my head what time that is for me, so I'll figure that out and I'll put a thing up. That's the link if you want to watch it yourself here. This is where this will be there, but I'll go live and we'll watch it and see what they have to say, because I'm interested to know if the Chapins are going to get up and talk, if Maisie's going to say something, if Jim is going to say something. Because again, I'm just going to state the obvious. I'm going to state the facts here. These are two families that never showed up to a hearing, never went to court, never cared to look at the evidence, and decided to just turn off the news let whatever happens happen, and agree to whatever was going on with no answers to literally anything. The Chapins, they've had an agenda from day one. I don't give a shit. I don't know why the Mogen family, Karen and them, decided to just like be okay with everything and not ever ask any questions, but that's what they decided to do. So now that they're coming in and they're like wanting to file all this stuff, I'm like, y'all didn't care about anything until the evidence started coming out. And it's not like they don't know that the sheath is such a big deal. The Chapins are going to Othram to talk to them about the sheath in the case, even though Othram didn't find a damn thing when it came to anything that led to anything. And that family didn't care about anything when it came to anything or led to anything. They said so themselves. It didn't serve them. Serving your pockets, serving your bank account. That's what it's serving. So all of this now, and then they're piggybacking off of what the Mogens filed or Karen Laramie filed, is interesting to me. The whole dynamic is just strange. Because you don't say a word, and then you come out and you're just like, I don't want the truth out. Stop it now. It's weird, bro. That's weird, bro. Okay, let me get this banner up right here so we can start going through these. O and up in G. I can't even type. Okay. And let me get me out of the shadows at least a little. So I like these to be like as big as they can so that y'all can see it. Okay. Hey, buddy. Thanks for the 5. I think Hitler wants all of DM's undergarments entered into his private evidence. I mean, honestly, the way that they are constantly taking up for her, the way that he like doted on her whenever she was talking, like, how does he not see? I just don't, I honestly just don't understand it. I really just don't. It's kind of like gross the way that some of these people are acting over these little blonde girls. Because we all know that if these were unattractive chicks or dudes, this would not have gone this way. Okay? If they were even a little bit ugly, this would not have gone this way. If they were guys, this would not have gone this way. They would have been cuffed up and probably held until they had something else instead of cleared instantly. Talk about sexism. The way this case was handled was very sexist. Let's be so serious. Let's just be so serious. Insane. Okay. So the last time that we read through these, we stopped at 115 where they had gone in and found one of these fraternity guys from Greek Row. I think we've seen the photo. I didn't go in to find it because I didn't know like how to really like word it, but I'm pretty sure that it's like this group photo that's gone around for like a long time. One of the guys has this like chest plate looking thing on, and it has like something painted on it, I think. But then it also has like a K-bar knife chilling on him. So this picture was sent over, and they went and found the guy and talked to him, took photos of it and all those things. And that's pretty much just like where it ended. So this is the next one in order. This is supplement number 116. This one came from Will Adams. I think we've seen that name maybe once. It's not one that we see often for sure. This is, he's a detective from District 1. It says on December 1st of 2022, Detective William G. Adams Jr. of ISP, along with T. Barrett and Detective Sergeant Hopkins, contacted Blank with year of birth 2001 at his residence. Blank's residence is located at Blank, Moscow, Idaho, and this person was identified in tip 5013 regarding his recent purchase of a K-bar knife. Remember, though, when we were going through the MPD documents, when it came to like K-bar purchases, there was somebody with the initials MM from Pullman that had a recent K-bar purchase, and I always just wondered if it was the DoorDasher. Because it doesn't show you the gender. It just says like the name, and they like crossed everything out with the original, like the first initials of each name. But Pullman. I just found that interesting. Okay, so this is a 21-year-old Asian male in Idaho. Okay. When the other detectives and I knocked on Blank's door, he initially did not come to the door. We knew Blank to be home because we had watched him walk into his door, and a neighbor across the walkway told us they observed him looking out an upstairs window while we were knocking. Ultimately, Blank answered the door and asked in a very low-sounding voice who we were. We called him by his first name, Blank, and told him we needed to talk to him. He asked what we wanted to talk about. I told him we were law enforcement and asked if he was looking at us through the peephole in the door. He told me he was, and I showed him my ISP issued badge through the peephole. Instantly, Blank's voice changed to a higher pitched voice. The door unlocked, and Blank invited us in. Who did you think it was, broski? He was paranoid. And as soon as he realized they were real police, his behavior like almost got relieved. You know what I mean? Like it almost seems like he was relieved to know that they were cops. How very strange. We went into the living room of his apartment. Blank was the only person in the apartment. We asked Blank if he knew why we were at his apartment. He told us he figured it was because of the murders. Blank initially did not admit to ordering a K-bar knife. When asked what kinds of things he ordered recently, he told us he ordered a ski mask. I observed his order information on his Amazon account. Blank voluntarily provided me his phone number and allowed me to look at his account. In his recent purchases was a ski mask and commercial grade cleaning gloves. No, this guy's only 21. Enon's like older, which is another creepy thing, is that he was living amongst all these college age younger people, and he was like definitely older. This is wild. Okay, so he ordered a ski mask and some commercial grade cleaning gloves. What WTF's exactly what I was thinking. Because what? I asked if Blank had an email address, and if so, did he receive email confirmations on orders? We had been given information regarding an email used to confirm purchase of the K-bar knife. I asked Blank if I could look at his email to see if he had a confirmation email and what his email was. He provided me with a different email address than the one used to purchase the K-bar knife. Blank, again, voluntarily gave me his phone and allowed me to look at his emails. While doing that, I clicked on his email account icon and noticed another email address, including the email address used to confirm purchase of the K-bar knife. That email address was Blank. As I began to look at the emails in his inbox, Blank studied, and then said, "I know why you're here." Maybe he meant stuttered. Sergeant Hopkins asked Blank to tell us why we were there. Blank told us it was because he ordered 2 knives. Blank admitted he purchased 2 knives from K-Bar. This was consistent with the tip we received and the confirmation email I found in Blank's emails. We asked him why he ordered those knives. He told us it was because he did not have a gun and ordered them for protection. Okay, one second. Okay. Where was I? Okay. He told us it was because he did not have a gun and ordered them for protection. He said he didn't feel like he was in imminent danger. After talking for a bit, Blank, on his own, asked if we would like to do a room inspection or something. We told him we would like to if he was okay with it. He agreed, and Sergeant Hopkins and Detective Barrett searched Blank's room while I talked with him. While talking with Blank, I asked why he chose that particular knife. He told me he saw on the news the killer used a K-bar knife, and he wanted to match it. After talking it through, Blank said he would have a pew-pew instead if he knew how to get one. Blank appeared to realize it sounded unrealistic for him to buy a knife to match the killer if they were ever to get into a fight. Oh, that was okay. Now I get it. So he wanted to get a knife that he thought the person would have in case he ever came face to face. Is at least the story that he's telling. Okay. Blank told us he did not know any of the victims of the murder that had occurred. Blank voluntarily provided a DNA sample via a swab. I seized these swabs and placed them in a paper envelope. Nothing of note other than the ski mask and commercial grade cleaning gloves were found in the apartment. Did you not ask him why he felt the need to buy commercial grade cleaning gloves? Was that not a question that came to your brain? Instead of, why'd you buy 2 knives? Why in the world are you buying commercial grade cleaning gloves, sir? What are you planning on handling? Jesus. I transported the DNA sample to the Moscow Police Department where it was booked. Blah, blah, blah. Unbelievable. Ask the right questions. Okay. 117. This is, again, Will Adams. This is December 8th, 2022. Him and Joe Lake interviewed somebody with year of birth 2001. This is a 21-year-old white female, and it is in relation to just Kaylee and Xana. Okay. Or actually, no, this is Kaylee up here. So it's Kaylee and Xana are who it's related to, but it's still a 21-year-old female. Okay. With an address in California. And then we have a 37-year-old male and a 33-year-old female. He's like her parents, maybe? I don't know. She's 21, 31, I don't know, 33. No, that's probably not. That would probably not be like a very good age difference there for that to be the situation. Okay, let's just see what this is. Okay. On December 8th, 2022, they went and spoke with this person. Blank was identified by others as someone who was a babysitter for some of the football coaches. Blank was the person who blank in order to either babysit or get a babysitter for them. Kaylee Goncalves was identified by blank as being one of the babysitters used. Okay. Okay. Is this the one that's going to lead up to the other thing about the guy? Okay. Okay. Blank stated she was only aware of one family that Goncalves worked for as a babysitter. She identified that family as the Blanks. Blank explained she met with Blank while working in the recruiting department for the University of Idaho. And this person with the year of birth 1985 was a Blank. Blank and was a Blank and also involved in the recruiting department. Blank told me she met Blank one day in the hallways when he approached her about being a babysitter. So this is a coach at the University of Idaho, and there's a department that recruits people to babysit for the coach's kids, I guess, so that they can go on like the out-of-town games and stuff, I guess. Blank told me she met Blank one day in the hallways when he approached her about being a babysitter. Blank agreed to babysit for the Blank. That's probably their last name, and ultimately met Blank with year of birth 1988, so my age. Blank explained she was the primary babysitter and coordinated with Blank in scheduling other girls to babysit. Blank created spreadsheets and time slots for other girls to babysit. Blank was the main contact for each girl when they babysat, so she was basically the person who scheduled a bunch of different people to go in and out of the house babysitting. Okay. Blank went on to explain that Goncalves babysat for the Blank during the summer of 2022. She was unsure how many times Goncalves babysat, but knew it was many. I asked Blank if that was the only way she knew the victims. She told me she was very close with Xana Kernodle and stated she was in the same sorority as Kernodle, and they spent a lot of time together. Blank knew that Kernodle's major knew her hobbies, and was aware of Kernodle's boyfriend. Blank was not aware of anyone who would want to hurt the victims. I asked Blank for contact information for the Blanks. She provided the phone number for Blank and Blank. Blank stated she lived in another home on Blank in Moscow, Idaho. Blank told me a story of a time where a male came up the stairs to her apartment at approximately 1:30. She was unaware if it was related to the murder incident, but wanted to report it. Blank didn't have any other information regarding the murders. Is this Ava that we were just discussing? I don't know how old she was. But it probably isn't, because a lot of people had people like trying to get into their doors. That's what I was just going to ask. Is it Ava? Did we know that she was involved in the babysitting stuff? That's who I thought it was whenever it mentioned that part about the door, but I know that there's like a bunch of people with those stories. But that's about the time that her story came out, was around 1:30. It could be. Okay. So now we have 118. Brady Walker? Why do they have the location closed off like that? Okay. Interviewed this person, that's a 19-year-old female at blank campus in Pullman, Washington. Okay, this is after arrest. This is January 10th, 2023. Matthew Henley was present as well as blank's girlfriend blank. So this is a girl and her boyfriend and her girlfriend being interviewed in Pullman. Okay, I recorded the interview with my ISP issued cell phone. I don't have like actual recorders y'all take with y'all nowhere. That's wild. Okay. On January 10th, 2023, at approximately 15:04 hours, Detective Brady Walker interviewed this person and this person's girlfriend, recorded the interview with my cell phone, informed blank and blank of this before I began recording. Okay. Blank was a sophomore at WSU. She has also been a blank at blank since the previous year. Lovely. The office in which she works is located on the blank. Her desk is near the entrance to that section of the building. She mostly works for blank, blank, and blank. The blank. Can't know anything, literally nothing. It was common for graduate students to meet with blank and discuss their education and future plans. Blank first met Bryan Kohberger when he came into the office to meet with blank. Shortly thereafter, Kohberger began coming into the office nearly every day to talk. This occurred during business hours. Kohberger's conversations became personal instead of focused on his studies or work as a teacher's assistant. Kohberger had an office downstairs, but did not really have a reason to be in blank's office area. I mean, isn't that what you sort of do though whenever you like are like meeting people, trying to meet people is like you talk about personal stuff and don't just keep it business? I mean, it's a school. It's not really a place of true employment. It's a school for them to be, they're actually students. I know that they have this TA label, but they're actually just students. You know what I mean? So it's wild to me that they act like that because that's like normal to try to like get to know people. On some days, blank would be working alone from 3 to 5, which was normal closing hours. Kohberger began coming in there seemingly to talk to blank. She would try to focus on her work, but Kohberger would remain whether or not she interacted heavily with him. On one occasion, blank was downstairs and came back to the office to lock up. Kohberger was in the office. Blank informed him that she was closing the office, and Kohberger walked outside with her. Okay. Kohberger asked her if she wanted to get coffee. Blank declined, saying her girlfriend was here to pick her up, and walked away. Blank thought this was inappropriate as they were both students. No, you didn't. You thought it was inappropriate because you're obviously a lesbian who's not into dudes because you've got a girlfriend. What do you mean? Him asking you for coffee was a strange and uncomfortable interaction? You told your boss about the incident. You're not saying that he did anything bad. You're not saying that like he said something horrible to you or like threatened you physically or did anything wrong besides ask your stupid self out for coffee. How is this inappropriate? Do what? Who is that? Who is this person? Okay, what? What is this person talking about? Okay, what the hell does this have to do with literally anything? Yeah, we don't do that here. So get your shit together. None of that has anything to do with anything. I mean, it doesn't even honestly matter. If it's Jewish or not, it doesn't even matter. Like, why come in here and act like a psycho? Yeah, that's wild. Like, there's channels for that. Go that way. Yeah, people are wild. People are insane. Like, there's differences of opinions, but then it's like, you're out of line. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, even if he was Jewish, like, it has nothing to do with. Show me one thing that makes this religious. I beg of you, please. Why do we even have to do any of that? I mean, I know they're also like an actual race of people, but still, like, why are we doing all that? I didn't say you were acting like a psycho. The person I kicked out of here is acting like a psycho. Okay, anyway, he's gone. They're gone. Whoever they are is gone. That was ridiculously uncalled for. Yeah, that was wild. Like, at least stay on point. Like, on point didn't stay on point, which I don't really quite understand. Like, you'd think that they'd understand the irony in their username. Yeah, like, actually, that's like kind of like the whole point of religion is their own rituals. True story. You're right. That's true too. I remember him. He does say something about that. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, like none of that even matters. This person's like just making a bunch of crazy shit up just to be crazy. Okay. Any hoosers? Let me get back to my rant about Little Miss Coffee Date. This is absolutely stupid. Whoever this girl is, if you happen to see my video, I hope you hear me tell you how ridiculous you sound. Because while you're sitting here saying he simply just asked you if you wanted to go get coffee, you said your girlfriend was there to pick you up, you declined and then you walked away. You're not saying anything in this. That how about at that time he did anything bad? So why are you going and acting like this was so inappropriate for somebody to ask you out on a coffee date? That sounds pretty normal. Maybe he just didn't pick up the fact that you had a girlfriend. This doesn't seem like he did anything wrong besides ask you out and you just didn't like him. So you deem it weird and uncomfortable and strange. How? You're not even explaining how. Like, I'd get it if she'd been like, he instantly had this look on his face. He got so mad. He threatened me. He said these horrible things. He bucked up to me. He got in my face. Where's any of that? Where is any of that? This was not uncomfortable or strange. You just declined somebody, and you're the one making a big deal out of something, Miss Ma'am. And why are you telling your bosses? See, it goes instantly from that where there's no description, there's no information, there's nothing to describe what made it uncomfortable, what made it so worthy of it being reported, and jumps right into blank told her bosses about the incident. It's not an incident. It was a situation, not an incident. And yes, there is a difference. They told blank they did not want her alone with him and informed her of several resources she could use, such as having a security escort or simply leaving. For him asking her for coffee, am I missing something? Am I missing where in this scenario she needs a security detail to go to her freaking car? Guys, that part right there. Like, what? It probably is, honestly. That word right there. She's not even like, if she had some description of something, again, if she would be like, the second I declined him and told him no, he got this look on his face, his voice changed, all of a sudden everything was different, he threatened me, he got in my face. We're not hearing anything that would lead this to be an incident that she had to go report to her bosses. It just sounds like you're a lesbian and just don't like dudes. You're literally doing this interview with your chick. What's the problem? You can say no and it not be weird and uncomfortable. You're the person making it weird and uncomfortable. This is just so extremely out there. Give me some details. Where's the proof of this being an uncomfortable situation? And how is this a problem? How is somebody having a conversation with someone, him letting, like, not stopping her from leaving? She literally said that she said it was time to go. She was closing the office. So he walked outside with her because he was trying to ask her out on a date. This whole thing sounds completely normal to me. This whole thing sounds like completely normal to me. Kohberger continued to come to the office when Blank was there alone. On one occasion, he would stand directly behind her chair as she was working. Kohberger remained directly behind her for a while and did not move until another advisor came into the room. Only then did Kohberger move away. What was he doing? See, even this sounds like, I mean, yeah, this is like crazy creepy if you're just like standing there behind somebody. But even then, like, I want the true story. Give me the real version of that, because you're coming up here acting like a psychopath over somebody asking you on a coffee date, walking you from your office to your vehicle, or walking you outside while asking you on a coffee date, and you're not saying how it was strange and uncomfortable. Like, I feel like I'm missing a shit ton of context, and it's probably because it's just not there. That's what's pathetic. This is what's pathetic. Like, I'm sorry. This sounds so normal to me for him to have walked her outside and then asked her out on a date. How is this something that you then need to go and get a security detail for? Because you're sure not explaining that. Bro, for real. This is why people stay away from people, period. Yeah. Like, what? What? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. None of these people that are working in are getting their degree in this field or teaching this field, none of them reported him, even after the bolo. Home dude sat in his car and was verbally kidnapped for 3 hours in front of his own house. And he didn't even do it. Ugh, these people are insane. I'm so glad that I am just in my bubble. Into my bubble. These people are wild, bro. Okay. Jesus Christ. Blank was informed staff had talked to Kohberger as many as 5 times about his behavior. After about the 3rd meeting, Kohberger did not come into the office as much to socialize. Blank would see Kohberger in the hallway and said he would corner her and attempt to conversate. Blank would not try to engage, but Kohberger would attempt to force a conversation. I want to see the camera footage of all this stuff, because I just don't trust their stories anymore. I really just don't. Blank clarified that Kohberger physically cornered her, standing in a manner where she could not leave without running into him. She described this as scary, especially whenever she was alone. I want to see this interaction. I feel like we have to visually see this to understand, because this doesn't. Yeah, I'm sorry. If you're going to like freak the hell out over somebody asking you out for coffee, I can't trust you. I can't trust you. She recounted another incident where she saw Kohberger walking outside as she was locking up. Kohberger made eye contact with her when she looked out, which seems strange because you would have to be looking directly at the window where she worked to make eye contact. Okay, so she looked at him and he looked at her. Sounds like that stupid song. Kohberger entered the building as she was leaving. Blake hurried into the bathroom to hide and avoid contact with Kohberger. When she thought about it later, she hid as if on instinct due to how uncomfortable contact with Kohberger had become. And now here we come to this next one. Kohberger had a reputation for being very homophobic. He asked out a chick without even picking up a clue of her being a lesbian. Because again, she's doing this interview with her girlfriend present. He didn't even pick up on the fact that you were gay. But he's homophobic. Bro has no radar whatsoever, but is completely homophobic. Come on now. I don't even know if that's even serious. Sometimes Blank's boss would take her home so she would not have to walk by herself or take the bus. Blank became concerned because of how many precautions she perceived were being taken because of Kohberger. Because of him. It sounds like they're because of you. If you want to be so serious. I think the only reason why you're hiding from him after the fact is because you went and said some crazy shit about him simply asking you out on a coffee date that you've given no bad details about. And now you feel like you have to run because he knows that you're the one who's talking all this shit about him to the office. That's why now you're running. It has nothing to do with you feeling uncomfortable. It's because you probably feel like shit for being so pathetically weak-minded. And then you know that he knows it's you. You're worried about him confronting you, not about him and making you feel uncomfortable. You're making yourself feel uncomfortable. I can read this so well. You are crazy. You are crazy, little lady. You have issues. You have issues. Blank recounted an incident in which her neighbor saw someone very close outside her window and told Blank to make sure she locked the door. Blank did not know who that person was, but learned she lived fairly close to Kohberger. So now she's going to pretend it was him. Blank learned from professors that Kohberger was fired as a teacher's assistant after the fall 2022 semester was over. When was this? When he was arrested? And he had to be admonished and trespassed, and they had to force him to sign something so that he'd have to give over his key. You mean that time after the arrest? Because he was very well coming back. Everyone knew that. Everyone said that. He said so himself. Try again. Blank described all the interactions she had with Kohberger as uncomfortable. Sure. Except for the very first time she saw him. Wow. Blank saw Kohberger almost daily until winter break. The conversations Kohberger would start with Blank were not necessary in an educational or professional context. It's college. Is she serious? Blank perceived the conversations happened only for Kohberger to be around her. Little self-centered, are we? Blank only knew of one time where Kohberger behaved differently than he normally did. Kohberger needed to talk to Blank, who was in the office with Blank, Blank, and Blank. Blank was speaking with Blank, and Kohberger was waiting near the door. Blank told Blank she thought Kohberger wanted to speak to him. He declined this and continued speaking with Blank. Kohberger came into the room and sat in a chair, but nobody acknowledged him. When he realized this, he became angry and stormed out. Well, I mean, if you're standing there, honestly, you're standing there waiting to talk to somebody, but you're not wanting to interrupt their conversation. And then somebody else acknowledges you're in there to speak to that person, and then they pretend like you don't exist. So then in order to make sure that that you're seen, you bring yourself into the room, still not wanting to interrupt the conversation, still allowing the conversation to happen without trying to make a scene. And you completely get ignored. I mean, I'd probably feel some type of way too, because I'm sitting here trying to like not be rude, trying to let you finish what you were doing, but I need to say something, and I can't just walk away because I've got to say something to you. I mean, it sounds like they were purposely trying to ignore him. I'd probably be pissed off too. Blank described Kohberger as very angry, as if he had built up a fury or rage. Honestly, if somebody was constantly ratting me out for crap that I wasn't even doing because she had issues, I'd probably be a little upset. If it was her opinion that Kohberger became angry because he was ignored and nobody acknowledged him. I mean, that was pretty obvious and honestly pretty rude of them. I asked Blank if Kohberger acted any differently after the homicides in Moscow. After thinking about it, Blank said it was right around the same time that Kohberger stopped coming into the office as much. You mean around the time that he was getting in trouble? You mean he was doing what y'all wanted him to do, which is not come around so much, and now y'all are going to turn that around after he finally gave in, and now y'all are going to try to twist it into something that it's not? Blank said it was right around that same time. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Prior to that time, Blank had described Kohberger as somewhat arrogant and held her head up high when describing him. I think you're describing yourself. After that time, Blank said Kohberger kept to himself more and seemed to be less interactive because y'all didn't want him talking to you. Y'all complained and tried to report him to HR every time he opened his mouth. And so now that he's not talking, now that's a problem. When she described Kohberger after the homicides, Blank kept her head down. That's weird as hell. Okay. Kohberger did not disclose personal details or anything about himself when he would talk to Blank. There was one instance where he may have placed a hand on her shoulder, but it was during conversation and not to physically control or assault her. So she can sit here and say that he touched her on the shoulder. The one time he touched her, she didn't feel uncomfortable. She didn't feel threatened. She didn't feel strange. But he asks her on a coffee date, and all of a sudden she's running and telling HR. What is this shit? What is this shit? Specifically, Blank thought it was strange that Kohberger seemed to know her schedule and intentionally encounter her. Y'all were stalking this man. Y'all were keeping tabs on every class he was late to and trying to cause all kinds of shit. Y'all had charts on him. Y'all had an entire orchestrated situation, knowing every move that this man made. And it's weird for him to know your schedule, but it's okay that you're stalking him and knowing every little thing that he's doing. Interesting. Blank described herself as a gay woman and thought it was also strange because she had previously told Kohberger that she had a girlfriend. This did not seem to deter him. He wasn't coming after you, baby. This is you and your self-centered bullshit, thinking he's coming after you. If he's coming after you after the coffee date thing, it's because for some reason you felt so bothered by the fact that a man wanted to take you out for coffee that you felt the need to go and rat him out to somebody at the school. So if he's looking at you where you are, suddenly probably wondering what the hell your problem is. If he's a little bit homophobic, maybe he's a you-ophobic. Maybe it's not homophobia whatsoever. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're the problem. She sounds like one of those meme girls, bro. The one that you see yelling and screaming, throwing a fit. She's one of them. I have a shirt that says surrounded by snowflakes that y'all see me wear quite a bit, but y'all never get to see the bottom of it that says that. Y'all just see where it says surrounded in the tops of little skull heads. This would be a shirt that she definitely should, everyone around her should wear one. Because she's the biggest one I think I've ever read about. This is horribly stupid. She sounds self-centered, full of herself. She probably, this is one of those people where her sexual orientation is her entire personality because she's incapable of anything else. That's what this seems like. Steer clear. Steer clear. All of the students Blake had interacted with, Kohberger was the one that made her feel uncomfortable. But it wasn't uncomfortable whenever he touched her shoulder? That was okay? Girl. This report is a summary of the interview. I want to hear the whole thing. I want this recording so bad. Because I can just tell you now. I can hear the inflection. I can hear the way this person probably talks. I can hear it. I can hear it. She's everything people think I am because of how I look. No, this is what that is. She cray-cray. Okay, we're going to go on to 119 now. Don't be this woman. Don't be this woman. Wild. Okay. 119. Brady Walker. Okay. January 11th, 2023 at approximately 14:30 hours. This person nope, just this one person. Brady Walker spoke with someone on the phone regarding her contact with Bryan Kohberger. Blank phone number. Blank had been listed in Kohberger's phone tolls. What's a toll? What's a phone toll? Like his call log? Is that what this is? What's a phone toll? Okay. And of course, this interview is not recorded. Of course not. Of course not. 26-year-old female. Oh, they're so dumb. Boop. Last name Erickson. 26-year-old female, last name Erickson. They're so stupid. From North Dakota. She's from North Dakota. Do we still do that? Is there still such thing as long distance charges? Right? Probably so. I mean, I know that there's toll roads. Let's see. What is a phone toll? It just goes to toll-free numbers. Toll versus toll-free. A toll number is just a common expression used for any phone number where the caller is charged a per minute rate for calling. Kohberger has a per minute phone. That's so rare these days. I guess they're just I guess it's just call log. I guess it's just the call log. But yeah, I don't know. Okay. All right. Erickson's phone number, blank, had been listed in Kohberger's phone tolls. This interview was not recorded. Blank verbally identified herself to me and informed me she had a North Dakota driver's license. Blank informed me she was a blank at the blank in which Kohberger had resided. Blank did not remember any contact with Kohberger. Blank coordinates services for about 100 tenants and is frequently contacted by them for repairs or apartment issues. What do they call that? A resident? They call that like a resident? The one that like takes care of like the dorm, sort of like a dorm resident, but I guess it'd be sort of the same, but not really, because these are like full ass apartments and it's not just like dorm rooms, but that sounds like that's what that is. Shortly after a tenant moves in, as part of her duties, Blank goes to their apartment, introduces herself, and makes sure they have the right phone numbers to call if they have certain issues with their apartment. Blank keeps a record of when she has completed this with a new tenant. Blake checked her records and had documented she had met Kohberger at his apartment on August the 13th. Blake did not have any memory of Kohberger and was only aware of this contact because it was in her records. The Blank hosts monthly events for tenants. That's probably the Step 2 apartments. Blank keeps a record of which tenants attended these events. Blank records show that Kohberger did not attend any of the hosted events because he didn't want to be around a bunch of you weirdos. Look what y'all do whenever he tries to ask y'all for coffee. I don't want to be around your ass either. 18 months. Oh, we've been friends longer than that. Who is needed? This is who needed a pretty much at 4 a.m., bro. Not even, yeah. Like, she's insane. Wildly insane. Thanks for the 5. There's more women now in the U.S. that are high risk like this than not. Sad times. That's not a lie. And like, have y'all been paying attention to the news lately? Me and him were talking about this. Like, this is actually a common topic that me and him talk about, because there's a lot of crazy sadistic stuff with women coming out a lot more lately. I don't know if for some reason the media has just done like a really, really good job of hiding all that stuff. And they've just like, we just can't anymore. Like, there's just too much out there and we can't do it anymore. There are more teachers sleeping with students that are like under the age of 13 than I have ever seen before in the history of the internet. I saw a story today of 2 different teachers at the same exact school caught doing the nasty with kids. And neither one of them, like, there's apparently like no connections between the two and what they're doing. Then a couple like weeks ago, there was one where these two teachers were arrested for doing things with students, and they were doing things with students together. Like, it used to just be like the guys that you constantly hear about, right? There's some sadistic stuff coming out with these women. You can't even really call them that. Look, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this statement is so freaking true, but it is, and it's sad because literally both sides suck. Both sides suck. Don't have friends. Don't try to get in relationships with literally anyone because both sides suck. It seems like literally everybody has their, I mean, you're going to have your own interests like in your mind, but literally no one has room for anything other than anymore. People forget that partnerships were created for mutual benefit, not just the benefit of one. And everyone seems to just be so selfish. I mean, look at Coffee Chick. Look at Coffee Date Chick. Damn. Wild stuff. Wild stuff. Okay. Now we're on 120. And this is Brady Walker again. On January 11th, 2023, at approximately 1500 hours, they met with blank with year of birth 2000 at the Moscow Police Department. Blank works for blank part-time. Kohberger's phone tolls, this is just going to be like his call log, indicated contact with blank, which was blank cell phone number. Ultimately, blank could not find any record of contact with Kohberger on his cell phone. I did not record the interview. What? I'm sorry. So Kohberger's phone log showed that he contacted this person, but this person's cell phone didn't have any record of that to match. Okay. This is a 22-year-old white male. ISP Detective Matthew Henley was also present. I had previously called blank and asked him to meet me to discuss any contacts he may have had with Bryan C. Kohberger, and did not record the interview. Of course not. No way. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, well, I must have put timeout instead of banned. Okay, now it's banned. Did it show that it banned? On point was banned and their comments were removed. Okay. No, they're gone. It won't let me. Can y'all see that it says that they're banned now? This is what it shows me now that they're gone. I guess I put them in timeout. I wasn't looking. Must be. Because, like, what's wrong with you? Jeez. Yeah, another band. Okay. There's channels for that. Go over there. Go over there. We don't need none of that over here. We got enough going on. Okay, keep that to yourself. Okay, nothing recorded. Guy has a Idaho driver's license. Kohberger's phone tolls indicated contact with blank, which was blank cell phone number. Blank informed me that he had viewed pictures of Kohberger, but did not recognize or have any memory of him. Blank's worked part-time. Does this mean this person's last name ends with an S? They really don't do a very good job. Blank worked part-time as a blank delivery driver and possibly had contact with Kohberger during a food delivery. Is this DoorDash? Is this DoorDash? Blank did not find any calls or texts on his cell phone with Kohberger. Blank also tried searching the blank application to see if he completed a food order with Kohberger. However, blank informed me that once an order has been fulfilled and completed, the blank employee is not able to view the customer information on the application. Ultimately, blank could not find any record of contact with Kohberger on his cell phone. That's wild. But that doesn't make any sense. So is this like the name of the company or the person's name? And then it's like DoorDash's cell phone number? Because I don't remember if it's DoorDash. On one of the apps, it has like a phone number, and it's actually really crazy because I'm nowhere near my hometown. Okay. And here and where we lived before, I believe it's DoorDash. The phone number to like contact the person has an 830 area code, which is Kerrville. And it was like that when we were by Fort Worth. It was like that. It's like that now where we are now, which is nowhere near Fort Worth. So I guess they just like used the Hill Country area codes for some reason. But I'm trying to figure out what exactly this is talking about, because was it that phone number that was on Kohberger's call log and it led to this guy because it goes through the DoorDash app? Or what is this? Because it's kind of strange that it would be like, oh, it's only on Kohberger's phone, but not on this guy's phone. It would have to be like that number in the app. Has to be the number in the app. And this is probably DoorDash. And this is a 20-something-year-old, 22-year-old male from Idaho. I wonder why this would matter. If they knew that it was for like food delivery. Interesting. Yeah, but the stigma around this needs to go away too, because Ariel was definitely neither or whenever she was 8 years old and got contracted with HIV. Everything with that really bothers me because it's not always the statistic anymore when it comes to that. It's not always sex or drug related. It's just the stigma on it. Okay, now we have number 121. Ryan O'Hara. During the months of November and December 2022, ISP Detective Ryan O'Hara assisted with multiple interviews, follow-up, tip investigation, and video collection and review related to the quadruple homicide of Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. Nothing of evidentiary value was found. Okay, so you talked to all these people and like nothing happened. Okay. 24-year-old male, 21-year-old male, 21-year-old male, 20-year-old female, 21-year-old male, 22-year-old female, 42-year-old male, 22-year-old female. Okay. On November 22nd, 2022, ISP Detective Ryan O'Hara was assigned tip number 0196 and 0648 by ISP Detective Joe Lake. These are both phone tips called in by blank, a blank, and blank at the blank. Whatever their employment position is, at least we know it starts with the vowel. I contacted blank via phone number on November 22nd, 2022 at 2:46 p.m. and 3:23 p.m. The following is a summary of the information provided. He saw a student with a gash between his eyebrows in the College of Education building on the 3rd floor. He cannot remember the date, but believed it was the 16th of November. The student was a white male, approximately 6 feet tall and 190 pounds. His head was shaved on the sides with bushy hair on the top, and he was wearing a red sweater. He requested the camera footage at this time and location not be overwritten. Okay. So this is the next one. Ethan Chapin was a sophomore. He was Chapin's blank throughout his enrollment. His last contact with Chapin was approximately 1 month before the incident. They talked about WUE, a scholarship program for out-of-state students. The previous year, he saw Chapin weekly to check in on how he was doing in his courses. Chapin was very relaxed and social. The focus of the weekly meetings was to increase Chapin's grades while he was on academic probation. So his grades have been a problem for a while because this has been going on like throughout the last year, it seems like. It says the previous year he saw Chapin weekly to check in on him, and the focus of the weekly meetings was to increase his grades because he was on an academic probation. So his grades were a problem for a while. This is a third person now. He is blank, and of course more blanks, and had seen her in person approximately 3 to 4 times. Who? His last contact with her was in an email on November 1st regarding coursework about a week before the incident. Who? Next person. He is blank and has seen her in person. Same thing. Who? Which one? There's 3 hers here. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Okay. She had come in from the College of Natural Resources with wilderness and fishing majors. Who did? What? What? Who is this about? His last contact was with her. Who is the her that came in with a College of Natural Resources and wilderness and fishing majors? Any of the girls in the house have this? I don't believe so. He was previously blank. This is another person. He was previously blank, parentheses and more redactions. Blank is in the graduate program and still reaches out to blank for questions. To who? He is blank. Again, more redactions. His last contact with her before the incident was an in-person meeting on November 2nd regarding coursework. He called blank after the incident. Blank told him blank went to the crime scene house and told her not to go in. Who is this her person they keep talking about? Ooh. Blank and blank reached out to blank via text message on November 14th for guidance on what to say to their teachers. They stated they were traumatized and may not be returning for classes. Blank stated she was staying with blank at his family home. Who is the she? Who is the she? Next person. Records of the deceased victims have been removed from the VandalStar system. This system is used to make appointments and keep appointment notes between U of I staff and students. It is standard practice for the records of deceased students to be immediately removed from the system. Okay. Blank and blank are both blank students, as was Chapin. Blank and blank are both bubbly and sweet girls. Nothing stood out to him about either of them. Is this Mortensen and Funk? Who has a fishing and wildlife? My dad would if he could have, bro. He'd do it now. Yeah, that's wild. Whose is that? I'd love to know. Love to know. Blank was cooperative and eager to answer any questions and help in any way possible. He was agreeable to being recontacted for any reason. I'd love to know. No, it's a chick. It's a girl. Right, like a Parks and Recreation person or like a wildlife warden. Yeah, I mean, it looks like the way that they like the spacing that we know. Is it a girl with a fishing degree? No, she was in marketing. She was in marketing. I'd love to know who that is because it seems like they're talking about the roommates here. I mean, nobody ever said anything about any of them girls having anything like that. So that's weird. Okay. On November 6, 2022, Moscow Police Department Sergeant Dustin Blaker viewed the camera footage recorded on November 16, 2022 on the third floor of the College of Education building in search of the individual blank described. Sergeant Blaker was not able to locate the individual. So the person with the gash on their forehead, the red sweater, and the shaved sides and the top hair, they couldn't find the person. And now we have tips 4715 and 4719. On December 1st, 2022, Ryan O'Hara was assigned these two tip numbers by Gideon Roberts. These tips came in from the Federal Bureau of Investigation forensic accountant Mike Douglas. F.A. Douglas requested copies of receipts for Kaylee Goncalves' purchases at Taj Grocery on November 12, 2022, and the Grub Wondering Kitchen on November 13, 2022. Goncalves' bank statement showed two purchases at Taj Grocery on November 12, 2022. The purchases totaled $18.01 and $37.08. Her bank statement also showed a purchase at Grub Wondering Kitchen on November 13th. This purchase totaled $11. I went to Taj Grocery and requested the clerk search their system for the purchases on November 12, 2022, using the last four digits of Goncalves' credit card number. This search returned no results. I requested the clerk search the transaction history using the dollar amounts of the purchases. There were three purchases totaling $18.01 and one purchase totaling $37.08. The last four digits of the card number. Oh my God. Why are you showing us that? I mean, I know it probably doesn't matter now, but why are you showing us that? Used in the transaction totaling $37.08 was at 11:06:33 a.m. Match those of one of the transactions totaling $18.01. Huh? One more time. The last four digits of the card number used in the transaction totaling $37.08 at 11:06 matched those of one. Okay, so meaning that they would be able to prove that it was the other transaction because the card matched. Okay, totaling $18.01 at 11:08:38. So she spent $37.08 and then forgot something and took 2 minutes to go back in and pay for it, or for some reason paid for things separately. Each of these receipts showed the card entry method as contactless EMV. I collected duplicate receipts of these transactions as evidence pending further investigation. Why? What'd she buy? Grub Wandering Kitchen is a mobile food truck with the following hours: Wednesday and Thursday, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 10 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. I contacted the owner via phone and requested he search his system for the purchase using the last four digits of Goncalves' credit card number. This search did not provide any results on November 13th, 2022. I requested he search his system for the purchase using the last four digits of blank. So they had another one. I guess, how do they get another card number, though? Because they acted like all this stuff right here that they're looking at is on the same thing. This looks like it'd be a completely different bank account. Okay. The search provided a transaction at 142 of $11. A portion of the text near the bottom of the receipt read Visa blank contactless. I contacted F.A. Douglas via phone and provided the information with the card number ending in blank. Moscow Police Department Detective Danny Vargas showed me a video of surveillance from Grub Wandering Kitchen and showed Goncalves using her phone to pay for her order at the appropriate time frame. F.A. Douglas later sent me an email explaining information he received from Goncalves' financial institution, and they have it blanked out, which is really interesting because we've seen all of the search warrants that they have for her stuff, and then we've seen them go in with the self-authenticating records and take some of this stuff out. And we also learned of a few that we didn't see search warrants for. So considering all that information that's already out in the public, it's interesting that they have this one blocked out. Blank explained the transactions were processed using the iPhone app and Apple Pay. Apple Pay token blank is linked to Kaylee Goncalves' account blank. Transactions using this iPhone will then link to token number blank. That is why this token number is on the receipts. I processed a printed copy of the emailed receipt I received from the Grub truck and the duplicate receipts I received from the Taj grocery into evidence. Okay. Oh, did y'all see that the fleet cameras, they've mentioned those here quite a bit and a couple other places. They're ending, or they're like putting a halt for some reason to them working with law enforcement. I just saw this like a couple of days ago. And that's like a big thing that they've been using a lot here lately are these fleet cameras. Is this it right here? Yeah, this was posted to, this isn't the one that I read. It's just the first thing that's popping up now. But yeah, Fleet is like deciding to like halt block safety cameras, like halt working with law enforcement. I mean, it's talking about Texas. It's talking about Indiana. I'm going to dig more into it and find out exactly why. Because that was like a big thing that was talked about in this one for like the morning cameras that they're claiming that they have, and like a couple other things. So it's interesting that they're doing that. Oh, here we go. This is going to act like it doesn't want to load. Here it goes. This is not where I was. Why did it skip me up there? $106. Is this where we were? No. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is just like thinking of like footage made me like think of that real quick. Okay. Tip number 5684, stinker footage. On December 3rd, 2022, ISP Detective Hugh Powell and ISP Detective Ryan O'Hara went to the blank gas station at blank. Like, obviously, that's the name of it, huh? Like, why are we blacking it out? Maybe it's not. I don't know. In Moscow, Idaho, to collect surveillance footage requested in tip 5684. Detective Powell and I identified ourselves, and I explained to the assistant manager blank we needed to collect surveillance footage. Blank showed us the camera views they had in their store. We determined the most useful cameras to identify persons and vehicles and asked blank to download copies of the recorded footage from those cameras on November 12, 2022 from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Why? That's like stupid and makes no sense. I left a USB thumb drive with blank and returned later that day to collect it. On November 18th, 2022, blank with year of birth 2001, was interviewed by Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Ryan O'Neill and FBI SA Christopher Sheehan. The following is an excerpt from the interview report written by FBI O'Neill. At 4:30 p.m., blank got a text from blank that blank had gone home to take ibuprofen and stretch his back because his back was bothering him. Blank had been hunting recently, and his back was sore from carrying his gear. Shortly thereafter, blank left the blank and met up with blank. They went to McDonald's and the blank near blank where they bought a case of beer. Blank has been identified as blank, year of birth 2000. Okay. Detective Powell reviewed a camera angle, register 1, that showed both registers. From this camera, each patron and what they were purchasing is clearly visible. It did not appear blank or blank purchased beer or even entered the blank from 4 to 6. So the 4 to 6 stuff is them, what, surveilling a suspect? Trying to get information on a suspect? A tip that they're looking at? On December 4th, 2022, Detective Powell and I returned to the blank and requested further footage from the same cameras and a few additional cameras. We requested copies of the recorded footage on November 12th, 2022 from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. A previous request had been made for recorded footage from November 12th, 2022 at 10 p.m. to November 13th, 2022 at 6 a.m. That's the angle I'm expecting them to be looking at, not this other stuff, but it's because I guess they're looking for somebody specific. I left blank with 2 USB thumb drives. Detective Powell and I returned later that day to collect the footage recorded on November 12th, 2022 from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The other footage was not yet ready to be picked up. Okay. On November 5th, 2022, I returned to the blank to collect the footage recorded on November 12th, 2022 at 10 p.m. to November 13th, 2022 at 6 a.m. Blank turned the USB drive over to me. I reviewed the footage captured on November 12th, 2022 by camera angle register 1 from 6 to 10 p.m. Detective Matt Henley reviewed the footage captured on November 12th, 2022 by camera angle register 1 from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Detective Powell reviewed the footage captured on November 12, 2022 by camera angle pumps all from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. After review of all this footage, it did not appear blank or blank purchased beer or even entered the blank from 12 to 10. So someone's lying. Someone just lied to the FBI. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I placed each of the thumbnail drives into evidence envelopes and completed chain of custody up to when I turned them over to Moscow Police Department Detective Lawrence Mowry. Yeah, somebody's lying. Interesting. Okay, now we have the McDonald's footage from this story. On December 3rd, 2022, ISP Detective Hugh Powell and I, blah, 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 McDonald's for this tip. Okay. Detective Powell and I interviewed ourselves. No, I didn't. That'd be weird. Identified ourselves, and I explained to the blank, probably the manager and then the person's name, we needed to collect surveillance footage. Blank showed us the camera views they had in their store. Woo! We determined the most useful cameras to identify persons in vehicles and asked Blank to download copies of the recorded footage from those cameras on November 12, 2022 from 4 to 6 p.m. Blank contacted an offsite tech support company to assist with the downloads. The offsite tech support company started a remote session and completed the downloads. I collected the USB drive. On November 18th, 2022, Blank with year of birth 2001 was interviewed by Federal Bureau of Investigation's Special Agents Ryan O'Neill and FBI SA Christopher Sheehan. The following is an excerpt from this interview written by, so this is another person or is this the same one? Okay, this is the exact same text message. At 4:30, Blank got a text from Blank that Blank had gone home to take ibuprofen and stretch his back because his back was bothering him. Blank had been hunting recently and his back was sore from carrying his gear. Shortly thereafter, Blank left the Blank and met up with Blank. They went to McDonald's in the Blank near the Blank where they bought a case of beer. And we've already proven that this story is like not true so far. I received the footage from multiple camera angles. It did not appear Blank or Blank entered the McDonald's from 4 to 6 p.m. I also watched the drive-through for vehicles matching the description of those commonly driven by Blank or Blank and did not see anything that matched. Why are these people lying to the feds? I placed the thumb drive into an evidence. Who are these liars and why are they not being looked at more? Because why are you lying? You're lying about going to 2 different places? Thumb drives were given to Lawrence Mowry. Why? Why lie? Okay, so whatever this interview is, they have it blanked out. On December 14th, 2022, S.A. Travis Shirley and Detective Ryan O'Hara with ISP conducted an interview with Blank. The interview was conducted at the Moscow Police Department, and then there's the address. Blank had been reported through multiple calls and emails to the FBI tip line. Interesting. This person's like been called in by a lot of people. The tips suggested the following. Blank owned a 2011 to 2019 Blank, probably a white vehicle. He knew the victims. He deactivated his social media accounts following the release of the description of the vehicle. He described himself as a clinical sociopath in a TikTok video. He was at the corner club the night before the homicides, and he was walking in the area of 1122 King Street like the night of. What? Now I need to know who this is even more. The following is a summary of the interview. Listen to the audio for full details. I would love to. Love to. Please release it. He works at Blank in Moscow. He lives at Blank in Moscow. His phone number is Blank. He belongs to Blank fraternity and pledged in the spring of 2020. He was in a class Blank with Xana and Maddie, but he did not know Xana and Maddie personally. He followed Maddie on Instagram and was Facebook friends with her because that's how they communicated in the class. He has been to a Blank out of house near 1122 King Street a handful of times. What the frack does that mean? Has been to a Blank out of house. I don't know what that means. Near 1122 King Street a handful of times. He was at the corner club the night of November 12th. He arrived there between 7 and 8 p.m. with his roommate Blank and Blank girlfriend Blank. They had walked to the corner club from their house. They stayed there until about midnight until Blank friend Blank picked him up and took him to his apartment at the Blank where he spent the night. He did not go to the grub truck after he left the corner club. A Facebook account Blank with approximately 60,000 followers posted his Instagram account and people were saying he was involved with the incident. He deactivated his Facebook account and made his social media accounts private because they were bringing unfavorable attention, to include death threats. He owns a Blank. He does not own or have access to a Hyundai Elantra. The TikTok post about him being a clinical sociopath was a joke. He does not believe he should be diagnosed with any sort of mental disorder. Blank agreed to a swab for a DNA sample and signed a consent form to have his phone downloaded. S.A. Shirley used a sterile swab to swab the inside of Blank's mouth, and the interview concluded at 10:01. Wild. Who the F and F is this guy? That's wild. I took Blank's phone and the consent form from MPD Detective Lawrence Mowry. Detective Mowry downloaded the phone and I returned it to Blank, S.A. Shirley, and I dismissed Blank and I had no further contact with him. Oh, you can't post links in the chat. It probably is Barriocha. But the whole like walking at the 1122 thing, like we've gotten two different stories about that too. Because in the book it says he was walking around that field, and remember they interviewed him. The book that was written by Patterson and Ward is where like the series was based off of, or vice versa. They worked off of each other. And in the book it says that he was like walking across the field at 3:59 conveniently. But then in the interview that he does on the series, he says that he's a sober bro driver. And then he was driving around until he got a weird feeling he needed to hurry up and return home all of a sudden at 4:00 in the morning. So that story changes a lot. That story changes a lot. Interesting stuff. I kind of wonder if we've read about this guy already, though, because I remember like conversations and other reports about people walking to the corner club from their house, somebody with a girlfriend and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe. Maybe. I would love to hear that, though. Okay. So, attempt to identify vehicles. Blank is an owner of similar vehicle observed on security footage. All of these people are owner of a similar vehicle observed on the security footage. So, I really would like to know, like, what all these cars actually are, so we can compare them. I processed a copy of the in-person interview audio recordings into evidence. Of all these people? Didn't put no specifics down there. Go figure. On December 14th, 2022 at 4:10 p.m., I interviewed Blank over the phone regarding his vehicle. Oh, this must be the specifics. Okay. Regarding his vehicle, a blank, Idaho registration, and his activity on November 12th and 13th. This is the information. He had been living at blank in Moscow, Idaho since August 1st, 2022. He was awake playing games on his phone with headphones until approximately 2 a.m. He drove the blank on Saturday for errands. Drove the blank on Saturday? He didn't go anywhere until he left for work on Monday morning. He never talked to any of the victims. He was currently in Rathdrum, Idaho, and would be returning around January 9th, 2023. On December 16th, 2022 at 9:49 a.m., I interviewed Blank over the phone regarding his vehicle, a Blank, registered to Idaho. He was with his roommate Blank on November 12th and stayed in and played video games until about 3 a.m. Blank's phone number was Blank. He was up at 9:30 a.m. on November 13th, but didn't go anywhere that day. He loosely knew Kernodle and Mogen through his girlfriend Blank, who was in the same sorority as them. He was in Boise at the time of the interview and would return after January the 9th. On December 16th, 2022 at 12:55 p.m., I interviewed Blank over the phone regarding his vehicle, a Blank, and his activity. It doesn't say where it's registered. He was Blank. Okay. Until about 11 to 11:30 p.m. on November 12th. He went home and was awake for about an hour and a half before he went to sleep at about 1:30 a.m. That's it. Okay. On December 16th, 2022, Detective Gideon Roberts and I interviewed Blank at the MPD regarding her vehicle, Idaho registration. She parks the Blank at her boyfriend's Blank apartment located at Blank in Moscow. She and Blank went shopping and he dropped her off at her dorm around 5. She did not have Blank's phone number. You were with someone shopping? Your boyfriend? You don't have your boyfriend's phone number? Am I reading this right that she doesn't have her boyfriend's phone number? Because this is talking about her parking something at her boyfriend's house, blah, 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 blah. They went shopping and then he dropped her off, blah, 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 blah. And then it goes into a phone number and she's just like, I don't have it. Is this her saying she don't even have her own dude's number? What the hell? Blank lives with 2 other roommates, Blank and Blank. Blank went to his apartment and played board games with his roommates. Blank had said when they went out to take out the trash, they heard someone say, "Oh my God, someone's passed out. We got to call someone." What? When the frick was that? That's weird. Okay. On December 20th, 2022, Jake Schwecke and I interviewed blank at the MPD regarding his vehicle at blank registered to Idaho. He moved to Moscow with his ex-girlfriend about 2.5 years ago. His ex-girlfriend is blank, aka blank, and her phone number is blank. He was a delivery driver for blank. He is friends with blank, aka blank. See paragraph 4A. And frequents his apartment. Blank lives with blank, aka blank. See paragraph 4D and blank. He and blank broke up on November 22nd after having been together for 2.5 years. He and blank previously lived with blank and blank at blank in Moscow. Blank and blank had a falling out that resulted in blank and blank terminating their lease early and moving to blank Moscow, Idaho. At this time, blank and blank moved to blank Moscow, Idaho. Okay, well, I don't know any of that stuff. I don't know what they're talking about. On December 21st, 2022, at about 12:55 p.m., Jake Schwecke and I interviewed blank at MPD regarding her vehicle, a blank registered to Washington. She lives at blank in Moscow, but she's registered in Washington? She lives with blank, aka blank. Blank is blank's boyfriend. Blank drives a blank. Blank drives a small silver car, possibly with blank license plates. She and blank were on the couch hanging out together and started falling asleep and went to bed around 11:30. She took her dog for a walk around 11 a.m. on November 13th, but did not notice anything out of the ordinary. Okay. Supplement 122. Ryan O'Hara. January 12th, 2023. Idaho State Police Detective Jake Schwecke and Detective Ryan O'Hara interviewed blank regarding her interactions with Bryan Kohberger. Blank is a blank in the blank at WSU and shared a class with Kohberger. 24-year-old female. On January 12th, 2023, at about 11:24 a.m., Jake Schwecke and I interviewed blank at Washington State University in blank. The following is a summary of the interview. For full details, listen to the audio recording. Blank is a blank in the blank. Blank is a blank in the blank at Washington State University and shared a class, criminal justice blank, with Kohberger. She first met Kohberger at orientation right before classes started for the semester. She did not talk to Kohberger much at orientation, but thought he came across as pretentious. Kohberger was routinely 1 to 2 minutes late to blank. Professor Blank was unhappy with this behavior and publicly scolded Kohberger on one occasion for being late. Kohberger approached her in September for help grading a class brief. By that time, Kohberger had a reputation of being a dick. She perceived Kohberger as kind of quiet, well-read, and fairly well spoken. Kohberger dressed very smartly, i.e. khakis or nice jeans with a collared button-down shirt. The following are examples of complaints she had heard against Kohberger. He was disrespectful towards his professors. He instigated contentious arguments in class. He expressed concerns over the progeny of one of the classmates that had a hearing disability. He was an ableist. He only talked back to or criticized female professors and students, so he is sexist. Really? Because Snyder's a whole dude, broski. He thinks highly of himself and doesn't interact well with other people. After talking with her friends and coworkers in the department, she feels very strongly that Kohberger is an incel, and he thinks he deserves female sexual companionship. Okay, I'm not really seeing how they're still coming to that conclusion, but okay. One of her colleagues, blank, said that undergraduate students were a little bit uncomfortable around him. I copied an audio recording of the interview to a compact disc and processed it into the evidence of the Moscow Police Department. Okay. 123, Matthew Henley. January 11th, 2023 at approximately 12:37 hours. Okay, an interview was conducted with a 37-year-old female born in 1985. Pullman, Washington. Blank. Okay, so it took place. It was it's a follow-up. Okay. Located on the Washington State University Pullman campus at blank. Blank phone number was blank, and residential address was listed as blank in Pullman, Washington. On December 30th, 2022, at approximately 21:31 hours Eastern Time, blank called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to report information on the Moscow, Idaho quadruple homicide suspect. So right after it released, not before. Not before. Nobody said a damn word about Kohberger until after his arrest was announced. Amazing. Blank told us she was a blank or unblank on her last semester and was currently on the job market. Blank said her responsibilities were assisting teachers with curriculums, grading, and managing classes. Blank also said she was a blank in person and online. What does that mean? What does that mean? Blank told us she first met Bryan Kohberger a week before the start of the semester during her department's orientation. Her first impression of Kohberger was he spoke in a weird cadence with a robotic tone. Autism. Blank stated her first actual conversation with Kohberger was at a blank barbecue held at blank house in Pullman, Washington on August 28, 2022. Blank said all the faculty, staff, and grad students were invited, no undergrads. Blank explained Kohberger introduced himself as Bryan and asked what she was researching. Blank said Kohberger was instantly off-putting as he attempted to explain the subject of her research to her. Blank said she was immediately done listening to him and that he rubbed her the wrong way with the conversation. Was he doing that, or was he just like saying what he knew about it to like show that he kind of did know something about it so they all have something to talk about? That's why I wish we had this kind of stuff beforehand. Because after the news hits, you just can't really know like what's true or not. Blank explained she did not have regular contact or conversations with Kohberger and would only occasionally exchange pleasantries with him in the hallway since their offices were close to each other's. Blank explained a lot of the things she knew about Kohberger was second or third hand, as she was kind of the mom of the group and people would come to her with their problems. So this barbecue wasn't obviously enough for her to not talk to him, because she still like at least said hi to him in the hall, but never really had too much conversation with him afterwards. And everything else that she's hearing about him isn't really anything that she witnessed or dealt with herself. It's all everything that's coming from the grapevine, basically. Blank said she could tell by her interaction with Kohberger at the barbecue, she was not going to attempt to take him under her wing, as she put it. So they basically, because of his autism being like a certain way, instantly was just like, you're over there. That's interesting. Blank stated she was not a blank for any of Kohberger's classes, nor did she grade his papers or assignments. Blank said she was asked by blank with an unknown spelling to be a guest lecturer for one of her professional development classes sometime in September. Kohberger was a student in that class at the time. Blank said she talked to the class about being a teacher's assistant, how to grade, and how to build rapport with the students. During her class, Blank said Kohberger asked her how to build rapport with students. Blake explained her method of building rapport and stated that was the only interaction she had with him during or after class. So he's sitting here actively asking her, okay, so how do I gain a rapport with students then? Like, he's showing interest in trying to fix that part of the interactions that he has with people. He seems to be pretty self-aware if that's the case. He seems to be pretty self-aware. And he was looking and asking for help about it, which is something that like people that they're claiming he is don't do. They don't ask for help for the things that make them off-putting. They just enjoy the fact that they are off-putting and they use it to their advantage. They don't try to fix it. When asked to describe her professional relationship with Kohberger, she said they did not have one, nor did she want one based on her initial interaction with him and the rumors she heard. Blank said, pretty early on, I started leaving my office door open when he was in his office, especially if there was ever a student in there, because I just wanted to make sure that nothing was inappropriate. Like I felt way early on that this guy was going to do something inappropriate with a student. Blank says she even spoke to her mom about Kohberger and referred to him as the creepy guy. Blank said she did not overhear any conversations in Kohberger's office. Jesus Christ. Outside the other two previously mentioned interactions with Kohberger, Blank had no other dealings or meetings with Kohberger other than exchanging pleasantries in passing. Blank was unaware of any personal information about Kohberger, if he had any outside employment, and had heard he did not drink. Well, the other lady said he drank a whole bottle of wine by himself, but that's neither here nor there. Blank said she had a conversation with Blank, unknown spelling, Blank, where she was asked how Kohberger was. Blank explained to Blank she did not really know him. Blank then told Blank Kohberger was doing some weird things and described a few encounters. Blank mentioned confronting Kohberger about stealing water out of the communal fridge. I'm sorry. Let me make sure I'm not crazy. How can he steal water out of the communal fridge if the communal fridge is for the community? How is he stealing water out of a fridge where everyone in that area is allowed to use said fridge? Shared by all members of the community. So unless somebody put their own water in there and put their name on it, it seems like that would be something that's used by everyone. These are college people. These are college professors, teaching assistants, students, people that probably think they're better than a lot of people. Yes. What? What? He stole water out of something for everyone. It's because he was the outcast. He was the one that she didn't want under her wing. He's the one that everyone pushed off to the side. So he wasn't allowed the community water. What? What? Blank mentioned Kohberger had an inappropriate encounter, like asking her out on a date with a work student study that worked in the office next to her. It is not inappropriate to ask somebody out on a date. How you handle the rejection. But again, in Home Chick's story, she's not saying his tone instantly changed. He got in my face. He said something threatening. He started calling me names like they all do in the inbox once you turn them down. You're beautiful and gorgeous till you tell them no, then you're fat and you're a B word. You know what I mean? He didn't do none of that. None of that is in her story. She said no. Her girlfriend was there to pick her up because she's a big old gay lesbian. And he must have not picked up on that because he asked her out for coffee. I'm still trying to find where the inappropriate, where the uncomfortable, and where the strange is in that entire situation, besides just her way of thinking. So she went around not only like reporting the fact that, oh my God, he asked me out for coffee. What am I going to do? She not only went and reported that to the office, but went around just running her damn mouth to like everyone while still not claiming that in that moment he did anything wrong. He didn't say anything threatening. He didn't get a threatening demeanor to his face. He didn't say anything directly to her. He didn't get in her face. Nothing happened. But she went around doing all of this for what? It bothered you so bad that a man asked you out for coffee because you like chicks that you had to go around ruining anything that people did perceive of this guy by lying about him? Because that's how it sounds. You've got people keeping doors open for shit that don't even exist. Insane. 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 I hate people so much. Blank mentioned instances of Kohberger just hanging around in the office by the work-study student, and an instance of Kohberger following the work-study student out of the building and then asking her for coffee. Blank mentioned incidences of Kohberger hanging out doing nothing while the work student was working. Blank said there was another time, approximately September-October timeframe, where Blank with an unknown spelling came to her office and asked her to monitor Kohberger's behavior because they wanted to track it. So now we have proof of recruitment. If anything, I would consider this 404B evidence in case, Hitler actually needs a good example. Blank was instructed to write down anything she saw and to notify Blank. Blank explained to Blank all the rumors she had heard about Kohberger being aggressive with the faculty in conversations, like cornering them in hallways and offices, asking out people inappropriately. What is so inappropriate about having a conversation with somebody, walking them outside whenever they say they're ready to leave, and then finally asking the question as they're about to get in their vehicle? That sounds like how every movie has ever played out ever. What? The mansplaining things. Blank told Blank they could not give Kohberger a PhD and give him authority. Y'all are wild. Blank told us about her friend Blank, unknown spelling, who was another Blank and had the office next to hers. Blank told Blank about an incident in Blank, again, unknown spelling. Is this the same unknown spelling person over and over and over and over and over again? And does it honestly matter because you're blocking the name out anyway? Class where the student named Blank, unknown last name, left during the class due to an exchange she had with Kohberger that made her mad to the point of tears. Okay, yeah, this is the story that we've heard a couple times. A couple of days after the incident, Blank ran into Blank and asked if she was okay. Blank said Blank knew she was referring to her incident with Kohberger without actually saying it specifically. Wow. Blank said Blank overheard a confrontation in the hallway between Kohberger and Blank. Blank told Blank Kohberger was questioning Blank's participation point system and teaching methods in a manner that was very public and did not allow Blank to disengage. Blank said she had never heard any other student having those issues with Blank and referred to Blank as one of the best professors. Is this Snyder? Because he argued with Snyder constantly, but they want to sit here and constantly act like he was arguing with a bunch of chicks. He and Snyder argued constantly. He was grading people the way he felt they needed to be graded, and Snyder wanted him to be a little softer. Typical professor, if you want to be serious. Blank told us about an incident involving Blank, who teaches multicultural. Blank said outside of the Wilson Short building at the bottom of the steps, there was a confrontation between Kohberger and Blank that made her uncomfortable and had trouble walking away from him as he wouldn't let her disengage. What are you talking about? You literally just stopped talking. Do none of these people have free will? You really got to start wondering what kind of mind control is actually going on for these people to just constantly say these kinds of bullshit things. You can't just walk away. No, there's no way in shit that this man is literally physically backing people into corners. The way that is being described is illegal. Yet no one's calling the cops. No one's putting in a freaking report, literally doing nothing. If his body was physically blocking someone from being able to leave out of a corner, that is such high rate of harassment. It should have been handled appropriately. And none of these things were ever, A, really reported correctly, nor handled. How am I supposed to believe that they couldn't have just shut the F up and walked away out of the conversation? What do you mean he's stopping you from disengaging? Stop talking. Turn around. Walk on with your business. Say, I'm done with this conversation and go on. Are we serious? You're at the bottom of the stairs, meaning you've got free range to run wherever you've got to go. You're not stuck like at the top of the stairs with nowhere to go. You can stop talking. And I'd also like to know where's this person's report? I don't think that we've heard about this report from the person, the teacher specifically. Just stop talking and walk away. Like, I guess I'm just more upfront than a lot of people. I don't know if this is like they don't know how to just shut up and walk away. They don't know how to just be like, okay, well, I'm not really like I'm done talking about this and I'm done and just walk off. I have no issue ixnaying it in the middle of it and not even giving a crap if I finish the sentence and I'm starting. If I'm done, I'm done. Okay. Blank stated it was to the point another student named Blank had to intervene. Blank said she did not know what the confrontation was about. So it could have been something like maybe personal. You don't even know what it's about, and you're over here running your mouth about it. You have no idea the subject of the argument. It might not have had anything to do with school. It might have been something else completely. Who knows? But for you to sit here and say all these things, but then like, I have no idea what they were arguing about, then how do you even know that any of this is factual? This is you hearing these things. This isn't you visualizing these things. Most of these things are all third-party bullshit. Yet nobody reported him. No one called in a tip to the feds. No one said anything after the bolo. None of it. Gotta love all the afterthoughts, right? Blank told us about another incident with Blank where she told Blank about a student who was presenting in her class and the presentation was going long. Blank had told her she interrupted and stopped the student's presentation because they needed to move on. She did? A woman interrupted the thing, not Kohberger? A woman? After class, the student who was interrupted confronted Blank about being stopped and how it was not right, and they should have been able to finish their presentation. Blank said Blank never told her it was Kohberger, but that she could connect the dots because it was the only person causing problems in all these classes. This just said does this not say a chick interrupted? Blank told her she interrupted, or maybe she was interrupted. No, this is like, what? Okay. The student who was interrupted confronted Blank about being stopped and how it was not right, and they should have been able to finish their presentation. So is this the student confronting the person? But then this idiot still like, oh, it had to be Kohberger, even though they're blacking out the name of the person that this person confronted. And is that what I'm reading? Okay. Blank stated it was circulating through the multicultural class that Kohberger was a traditional person who believes in traditional marriage. I don't see the problem. Blank told us there was quite a diverse group of students who are not traditional students. Okay. Blank told us about a student, Blank, who was pacing around her office and near Kohberger's office. When Blank asked Blank what she was doing, Blank told her she wanted to put an ally sticker on Kohberger's office door. Blank explained to Blank that Kohberger did a presentation in the multicultural class and asked the class a question he did not get to hear the answer to. Blank claimed Kohberger gave his answer to the class and said something to the effect of, "I already have my answer, it's wrong." Blank said whatever the question was, it led the class to believe Kohberger was homophobic, transphobic, or both. So you have no idea what the question was. And you're just automatically assuming whatever it is because that's what you want it to believe. So because he didn't want the ally sticker for allies to the LGBTQ on his own office door, he's all these horrible things because he didn't want something school related on his school door. You obviously knew already he didn't want it there. It sounds like you put it there anyway. He complained about it and then had you remove it because you did something he didn't want you to do. Look, I don't really give a crap what you're doing as long as it's consensual and everyone's an adult. But I also understand a lot of people have issues with that kind of stuff. And even if he did have issues with that kind of stuff, that's got nothing to do with what happened, because it's not like that's the situation with those people for them to try to connect it that way. That's not the case. And this is, again, whatever the question was, it led the class to believe he was all these things. But she doesn't even know what this question is, and she's just going on with the perception instead of getting the details about what was actually asked about. And again, he didn't want this sticker on his office door. He has the right to say, hey, I don't want that on my office door. What's the problem? I'd actually heard about this a long time ago. I thought it was a flag. I didn't know it was a sticker. I thought it was a flag. I'd heard it was a flag. That part too. Like, it doesn't need to be all over the place. This is a college where you're supposed to be learning about, like, things. You don't need to, like, why? And why does it need to be on his door if he's a straight man and he doesn't want it on there? He has that right. Go put it on your door. Go put it on your door. Go put it on other doors. There's all these other doors that would like that sticker. It's okay if he doesn't. It's perfectly fine. Blank described Kohberger as a very flat effect, seemed to stare into nothing, talked through you, not with you, always geared up for a debate, and never relaxed in the limited times she had seen him. Again, he sounds so much like Sheldon Cooper's character. It's wild. It's almost like Sheldon Cooper somehow knew who Bryan Kohberger was and summoned that essence into his character, because literally verbatim, everything about that man in that show is everything that we're hearing about this guy. Literally. Blank said she had never heard Kohberger laugh. In the few times Blank and Kohberger were both in the office at the same time, Blank had only seen approximately 2 female students in Kohberger's office, and all appeared to be appropriate behavior. Well, I'm sure it was. Blank brought up another incident. Blank told her about Kohberger and his mentor, Blank, who was a Juris Doctorate and an instructor. Kohberger was Blank's teacher assistant. Blank said Kohberger and Blank had a disagreement in Blank's office. Blank explained the disagreement escalated to the point of shouting and Blank telling Kohberger to leave. Kohberger refused to leave, and Blank ended up leaving instead. Blank said she did not know what the argument was about, but was surprised because it was the first time this had happened with Kohberger and a male that she knew about. So this was Snyder. It was always Snyder. It was always the dude. The guy professor was always the guy, was always the person that Kohberger had an issue with. And it was all about the grading, all about not grading so harshly on people. Blank could not remember seeing Kohberger after the murders and could not speak to any behavior changes. Blank stated even though she had weird thoughts about Kohberger, she did not think he was behind the murders. Blank said she pegged him as a stalker or sexual assaulter type. Jeebus. Blank had no idea about Kohberger's social media presence. Blake described Kohberger's office as sterile with nothing in it. Audio of the interview was submitted into evidence. End of report. Holy bejeebus, bro. Holy bejeebus. Lots of stuff there. Lots of stuff. Okay. 124. Hugh Powell. We have January 4th, 2023. Hugh Powell and Detective Jacob Schwecke collected receipts and surveillance camera footage and conducted interviews at Blank and Pullman. Bryan Kohberger switched the title and registration on his 2015 white Hyundai Elantra from Pennsylvania to Washington on November 18th, 2022. Yeah, because it was expiring. It was time. The evidence collection and interview were in reference to the murder of Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. And you know what's crazy is that people talk about this kind of stuff like it matters. Switching your registration is so freaking traceable. So it doesn't matter because it's noticeable, it's traceable, it has a paper trail. It's not like it's something that could be hidden. So even if he was guilty, I mean, whatever they want to say, in my opinion, they're not proving shit. I don't give a damn. Even if he would have been the one to have done this and I believed it, this would not be a red flag to me because it was due. It was time and it's traceable. Completely traceable. So this means absolutely nothing. On January 4th, 2023, ISP Detective Schwecke and I met with Blank, who is the owner of Blank and Pullman. Blank informed us that on November 18th, 2022, Kohberger came in and exchanged his title and vehicle registration from Pennsylvania to Washington on his Hyundai Elantra. Blank was able to provide us with security camera footage, including audio of the transaction with her clerk, Blank, and the receipt of the transaction. Detective Schwecke and I interviewed Blake at Blank. The following is a summary of the interview. For full details, review the audio. Blank remembered Kohberger coming in to switch his plates from Pennsylvania to Washington. Blank recalled Kohberger was a super nice guy and very charming. She even added him to their Christmas card list. Kohberger wore gloves the entire time he was in, but didn't think it was abnormal due to the cold temperatures they were experiencing at the time. Normal. So if they were like medical gloves, they'd be like, this sentence would have been like, it was cold, but these weren't winter gloves, so it was a little odd. Instead, it's winterish gloves, obviously, because it's normal. The reason Kohberger was switching his title and vehicle registration to Washington was that he was a graduate student at WSU and he needed to get residency. I turned all evidence, surveillance footage, and audio of interviews over to the Moscow Police Department. Yeah, it seems totally freaking normal. Supplement 125. Gideon Roberts. 1/11/2023. Okay, this says January 10th and 11th, 2023. Cody Herman and Gideon Roberts interviewed Blank at the Blank campus regarding his telephonic activity with Bryan Kohberger on July 9th, 2022. Oh, is this Christian the neighbor? Blank initially didn't remember any interaction with Kohberger. However, he eventually remembered, not Christian, somebody from the party. Okay. He eventually remembered meeting and speaking with Kohberger at a pool party at the Blank in Moscow, Idaho. The interviews were not recorded. Of course not. And what you mean, interviews? More than uno? More than uno? 30-year-old black male, born in 1992. On January 10th, 2023 at about 3 p.m. Okay, yes. Blank telephone number had been identified as having contact with Kohberger's on July 9th, 2022. After being advised of the purpose of the interview, Blank provided the following information. He was currently employed as on Blank for the Blank. His phone number was Blank. The account was registered to his mother, Blank, but he had had the number since he was 16 years old. He was aware of the case and had seen Kohberger's picture after the arrest, but without any additional context, he didn't recognize him or have any memory of interacting with him. On January 11th, 2023 at 3 p.m., Detective Herman and I spoke with him again. After we provided him with the date and context of the telephonic activity, Blank provided the following information. He remembered meeting Kohberger at a pool party at the Blank apartments in Moscow, Idaho. He had been invited by the DJ who was providing the music for the party, later identified as Blank. That's the Indian guy, right? With the really pretty long black hair that met him later on a hiking trail, I think. Kohberger saw him on a hiking trail after that. There were about 75 people at the party, most of them grad students. He and Kohberger just ran into each other while they were mingling and started talking about what they each did at WSU. Kohberger was wearing board shorts and a gray shirt. Kohberger talked a lot about physical fitness. Kohberger seemed very focused on running, specifically trail running and running hills. Kohberger was awkward, but he attributed it to him being new to the area. He agreed to go running with Kohberger at a later time and provided him with his phone number by calling and texting Kohberger's phone. He ultimately did not go running with Kohberger. Well, it's because they just never contacted each other again. As we concluded our interview, Blank told us he spoke with a foreign exchange student known to him as Blank. He didn't have a phone number for her, but her Instagram title was Blank. He told us he would attempt to provide us additional names of people at the July 9th pool party, and the interview concluded. Interesting. Okay. Now, how we have number 126, Ryan O'Hara. January 13th, 2023, Jake Schwecke and Detective Ryan O'Hara interviewed Blank regarding her interactions with Bryan Kohberger. Blank is a blank for the blank of the blank. Okay, 48-year-old female. Alrighty. Interview was done at Washington State University. She is a blank for the blank of the blank. She never talked to Kohberger. She saw him one time at a holiday potluck right after winter break. Give me 1 second. Okay. Where was I? Okay. She saw him one time at a holiday potluck right before winter break, and once briefly going the other direction in the hallway. She did not interact with him at the potluck, but overheard him say, "It doesn't look like there's anything I can eat." So further, pretty much validating the vegan thing. At the potluck, Kohberger was dressed in all black and wearing black gloves. She noted it was cold outside, but everyone else had removed their outdoor gear. She was sitting next to Blake at the potluck. Blake got up and Kohberger stared at him the entire time he was standing. The following are examples of complaints she had heard against an undergraduate student who was later identified as Kohberger. Okay. He would show up 15 minutes before the end of the day and talk blank and blank's ear off and not take social cues when they said they had to finish up work, and sometimes he would follow them to the parking lot. Was it sometimes, or was it just the one time and he asked the girl for coffee and she flipped out? Because now I'm not positive. A mandatory discrimination and harassment training was held for all of the graduate students because of issues pertaining to him. He didn't take social cues and made people feel uncomfortable. Autistic. Blank said she had a weird feeling when she saw him talking with Blank and hung out in the kitchen and washed her dishes really slowly because she felt like she should be there. What? So this was like in a dorm or somewhere? Like, what is this all about? I burned an audio recording of the interview to a compact disc and processed to evidence. Okay. 127. Gary Tolleson. 11/25/22. They went and interviewed somebody in Coeur d'Alene, a 19-year-old white male, 38-year-old white female. Here is a four-door Impala, a white Impala, 2007. On Friday, November 25th, 2022, they went to Coeur d'Alene. They were at the ISP offices in Coeur d'Alene when Blank, with date of birth 1984, came in to report a photograph she found on Facebook Marketplace of a white vehicle with what appeared to be blood smeared on it. Oh, yeah, we went through these photos on accident the other day. They were wild. Miss Blank thought this was unusual enough to report it to the police and thought it might somehow be related to the homicides in Moscow. The advertised vehicle, a 2007 white Chevy Impala four-door, was for sale by the owner Blank, with year of birth 2002, who lives at Blank in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. After interviewing Miss Blank, Detective Lehman and I went to Blank and looked at the vehicle, which we found parked on the street in front of Blank. I knocked on the door and rang the doorbell at Blank, and no one answered. I then went next door and knocked on the neighbor's door. Blank's neighbor answered the door. I explained why I wanted to talk to Blank, and the neighbor gave me his telephone number, saying Blank was at work. I telephoned Blank and explained why we were calling and looking at his vehicle. He told me it was fake blood he had applied to the vehicle for Halloween. I asked for permission to take swabs of the areas of fake blood I asked for permission to take swabs of the areas the fake blood had been applied to the vehicle. He told me that was okay with him. I swabbed all four sides of the vehicle and packaged the swabs in paper. The swabs were given to the Moscow Police Department with a request to have the swabs sent to the lab for testing to see if it was in fact blood. The interview with Blank was transferred to a compact disc, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, these are the photos. Why, if you're trying to sell a vehicle, why in the hell would you post it to Facebook Marketplace looking like this. Like, yo ass ain't selling it looking like this. Like, what's wrong with you? You are not selling this thing. Everything's freaking upside down. I mean, seriously? Right? That's what it feels like. Like a statement. Because what the frick is wrong with you? What the frick frack is wrong with you? Your brain is melting. Your brain is melted if you think that that's cute and normal. Okay. 128. Gideon Roberts. January 17th, 2023. Jake Schwecke and Gideon Roberts interviewed Blank at the Blank campus regarding her interactions with Kohberger. Blank is an blank for the blank at WSU and spoke with Kohberger multiple times. At the request of Blank, Deputy Attorney General Shelby Siraki sat in during the interview. The interview was audio recorded, all evidence turned over. 53-year-old female. On January 17th, 2023, at about 2 p.m., Detective Schwecke and I interviewed Blank regarding her interactions with Kohberger. After being advised of the purpose of the interview and that the interview would be recorded, Blank provided the following information. She was currently employed as a blank for the blank at WSU. Blank for the blank. I say that like so many times. A blank for the blank. A blank for the blank. She had few interactions with Kohberger, but remembered 4 incidents specifically. The first interaction was on September 2022 during an orientation event for the blank at Paradise Creek. Kohberger sat beside her and they engaged in small talk during the event. The second interaction included a WSU student she identified as Blank, later identified as Blank. Kohberger was lingering in an office Blank was working in, attempting to make small talk later in the day. Her maternal instinct wouldn't allow her to leave Blank alone with Kohberger, so she found small tasks and reasons to stay until Kohberger left. After Kohberger left, she asked Blank if she was all right and told her if she needed anything to email her with the email subject stating 911. Okay, but is this person saying anything? Or are these people just like seeing something that they're not used to and they don't know how to understand it? Because that's a little cray-cray. The third interaction was a brief contact in a hallway as her and Kohberger passed each other. The fourth interaction was during the Blank holiday party during the second week of December 2022. Kohberger asked her if the pot stickers she brought were homemade, to which she responded that they were store-bought. Okay. Overall, her observations of Kohberger were that he was awkward, talked a lot, and was respectful to those he interacted with. So you're sitting here telling this chick to email me 911 if you need me to save you, but this guy was respectful. Girl, once the interview was completed, I transferred the audio recording to a compact disc and processed it to MPD's evidence. These people are wild. Wild. 129. Jeffrey Talbot. Kohberger apartment. Okay. We're going to get something from Don Daniels in here now because he's the one who gave Don Daniels a bunch of information. She specifically names him in her supplemental narratives. On November 13th, 2022, at about 12:22 p.m. Oh, that should have been in here. Everything that we got from City of Pullman should have had the shit from Don Daniels, and it didn't. Maybe not because she's actually WSU. But yeah, it should have been because they had to deal with the actual like court-ordered subpoena stuff. There should have been something from her in there, and there was not. I mean, I know we have some of it that came out with his apartment warrant stuff, but I was expecting to see more of it from City of Pullman. And we didn't. Just like that just hit me in the brain. We should have. Okay. Jeff Talbot was assigned as a lead crime scene investigator on December 30th, 2022. The ISP forensics processed blank, Pullman, Washington. We know the address of the Steptoe apartments. Why are we doing this? The residence belonged to Bryan Kohberger. Kohberger had been identified as a suspect in the quadruple homicide. All items collected were turned over to MPD. Not right away. Not right away. Crazy stuff. Okay. All right. On December 29, 2022, WSU PD Assistant Chief Don Daniels authored a search warrant for blank. The residence belonged to Kohberger. MPD had identified Kohberger as the suspect in the quadruple murder occurring on November 13th, 2022. Kohberger had been arrested by the Pennsylvania State Police under a warrant by MPD. At about 7:12 a.m., AC Daniels and members of WSU PD executed the warrant at Kohberger's residence. The residence was empty. At about 7:17 a.m., I started a pre-search video of the residence. Once completed, ISP forensic scientist Jeannie Ayers, FS Tara Martinez, and FS Haley Youngling started processing the residence, including 3D scans, photographs, and evidence collection. The following items were identified and seized. We've gone over these lists thousands of times by now, but we're going to read it anyway. Exhibit 1, black colored nitrile glove collected from top shelf of entry closet on north wall. Number 2, Walmart receipt with corresponding clothing tag collected from entry closet in north wall. Number 3, 2 Marshall's receipts collected from entry closet in north wall. 4, dust canister collected from Bissell vacuum located in entry closet on north wall. See, that right there was one of the things that Nancy Disgrace had come out and tried to say that it was just a canister. Who keeps just a canister in their closet? No, it was connected to a vacuum. That was one of the things that she tried to come out and act like. Number 5, 8 potential hair strands collected from a Libman broom located in the entry closet of the north wall. Amazon Fire Stick collected from the living room TV. Possible animal hair collected from under computer pad on desk in northeast bedroom. Not Murphy's. Everything that they found in here, there was no connection. Nothing that matched the dog, the victims, Dylan, Bethany, nothing. Literally nothing. Possible hair collected from east wall of shower on tile. Possible hair collected from interior of shower drain. Possible hair collected from under computer pad on desk on northeast bedroom. Possible hair strand collected from uncased pillow on bed in northeast bedroom. Computer tower collected from desk in northeast bedroom. DNA swab red colored flake collected from countertop of kitchen west sink. Red brown colored stain collected by cutting from uncased pillow on bed in northeast bedroom. Mattress cover with multiple red-brown colored stains collected from mattress in northeast bedroom. While processing the residence, AC Daniels learned there was a storage unit associated with the residence. AC Daniels completed an amendment of the warrant for the inclusion of the storage unit. This part always bothered me because I don't give a shit what anyone says, okay? These were campus apartments. She is a campus police officer. They are supposed to know all of the ins and outs of everything related to the school. So if this is a campus apartment building and it turns out that every single one of these apartments has an additional unit like this, this should have been handled. People have argued with me on that. I'm sticking to my damn stance. This should have been handled. There shouldn't have been oh my God, there's a storage unit. I had no idea. You should have known. You should have known that every single apartment had one. And your original search warrant should have included it because you should have known. You literally had schematics of the entire freaking building that you attached for us to look at. How did you not know this being the WSU police and this is a WSU apartment building where everything is assigned to a student? You should have known this. I feel like that damn thing was open before they got that warrant. I don't trust. I never have trusted this whole thing. I feel like she should have known. That's always been my stance. While processing the residence, blah, 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 the unit. Okay. AC Daniels completed an amendment to the warrant for the inclusion of the storage unit after the amendment was granted, and we watched all that happen. Like there's a phone call with the judge. She's sitting there like reading him something that she wrote. We've seen the supplemental narrative that has like the handwritten thing on it. We've seen all of this stuff. FSAers and I inspected the storage unit. The unit located inside building blank was vacant and appeared unused. There was no lock on the door and multiple cobwebs spanning the entrance. I photographed the storage unit and no further processing was done. After SPFS processed the evidence, all items collected were turned over to AC Daniels. AC Daniels left a copy of the warrant on the living room couch along with an itemized list of property seized. I completed a post-search video of the residence and secured the door with AC Daniels. At about 7:23, the scene was cleared. On December 31st, 2022, ISPFS provided me with a copy of the photographs and Liz Q 3D scan taken. On January 3rd, 2023, after the return of service was complete, I transported the evidence collected from Kohberger's residence to MPD and turned them over to the evidence technician, Tim Smallridge. Yeah, but when was it that Don Daniels actually like gave Anne back everything? I'm about to tell you. So here is the supplemental from Don Daniels. It wasn't until 1:10:23 at approximately 11:20 hours, the defense attorney showed up at Kohberger's apartment. And this is where everything that I've been bitching about is at, right here. While at the apartment, I explained to the attorney I had forgotten to include the 3 samples taken from the apartment. These are the blood samples, the ones that actually did pop a positive but still had no connection to shit. See that? I forgot to include it. Didn't call you, didn't tell you shit. You're 5-10 minutes away from me. Never called you, didn't call ISP, didn't call MPD, didn't call the lead detective, didn't call Talbot, didn't tell nobody. Waited until she showed up to her face and then was like, by the way, here you go. Sorry. She's now chief of police. She is now chief of police. So you know. And of course, nothing about that's mentioned in here. So we'll see if that document shows up later. Because see right here, it says all the evidence was turned over on the 3rd. No, it wasn't. Because Dawn Daniels still had this shit in her possession for another week. She's the chief of police. No, she's the chief of police. Don't you just love it? Okay. Number 130. Jacob Schwecke. Okay, December 28th, 2022. So right before, but they had people like on the ground and doing things. Not MPD people, because the MPD people that went to Pennsylvania never even stepped foot inside the neighborhood. They watched everything from a drone camera. But they were at least like stuff was getting done. On December 28th, 2022, ISP Detective Will Adams, Cody Herman, and Jacob Schwecke conducted surveillance on 2 storage unit facilities within the city limits of Colfax in Whitman County. The facilities were blank, associated with blank in Colfax. So this is December 28th. They know damn well they're about to go pop this guy in like 36 hours. And they're still doing some other things. The facilities were blank, associated with blank in Colfax. The office is located at blank and blank, located at blank. Gotta love it. Surveillance went into the morning of December 29th until I was able to contact and interview the managers of both facilities. Both managers provided me the names and contact information of all people renting storage units at their respective facilities. This says right here that there was nothing for Bryan there. Okay. I contacted the manager. Wait a second. Okay. On December 28th, Herman and I and Adams facilities, blah, 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 locations. Okay. Surveillance lasted from approximately 11:30 p.m. until 8:30. So they watched. Okay. I want to know. I want to know with them knowing that Kohberger is freaking in Pennsylvania at the time that they're surveilling this, why are they even mentioning him? If they know that he's there, why are they surveilling the building for all those hours, knowing that he's in Pennsylvania? But it's supposed to be something to do with him. What's the point in this? I need more information. I'm missing some context. There's a lot of context missing here. Shit tons of it. I contacted the manager of blank storage blank. Phone number blank allowed me to view a list of current renters at their facility. Blank, an employee at blank, later provided me with a digital copy of all current renters and their contact information. I contacted blank, the owner of blank. Phone number blank. Blank put me in touch with his manager blank. Phone number blank. Blank allowed me to view a list of current renters at their facility and later provided me with a digital copy, blah, 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 blah. Bryan Kohberger's name was not immediately apparent as being connected to renting a storage unit from either business. So what are we doing? Surveilling it, knowing that he is in Pennsylvania? Can somebody please make this make sense right here? Because they apparently left everything out that would make that work for like anything. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, 131. Jeffrey Talbot. On December 13th, 2022, at about 12:22 p.m., the Moscow Police Department requested Idaho State Police District 2 investigations to assist with the homicide. And this is where Talbot was assigned. Why are we going this freaking far back whenever... Okay, this is kind of weird. Okay. Jeffrey Talbot was assigned as a lead crime scene investigator. On December 30th, the ISP Forensic Services processed blank and Pullman. This is the office. The office was shared by Bryan Kohberger, blank and blank. Kohberger had been identified as the suspect of the quadruple homicide. No evidentiary items were collected. Okay. Yeah, we knew that, actually. That they went to the office and there was like nothing there whatsoever for anybody. But it was also winter break, which also makes like perfect sense for that. Because not even the people that he shared the room with like had anything in there. The boards were cleaned off and everything. On December 29th, 2022, WSU Police Department Assistant Chief Don Daniels authored a search warrant for blank. The office belonged to Kohberger and two fellow WSU students. MPD had identified Kohberger as the suspect in the quadruple murder occurring on November 13th, 2022. Kohberger had been arrested by the Pennsylvania State Police under a warrant by MPD. At about 8:16 p.m., AC Daniels executed the warrant at Kohberger's office. The office was empty. At about 8:18 p.m., I started a pre-search video of the office. Once completed, ISP forensic scientist Tara Martinez photographed the office. No belongings of Kohberger were identified. No items were seized for evidentiary purposes. At about 8:52 p.m., the office was secured and the scene was cleared. On December 31st, 2022, ISPFS provided me with a copy of the photographs taken. I entered the scene videos and photographs into evidence located at the ISP District 2 office and provided copies to MPD. Okay. 132. So we've got three more. Okay, Hugh Powell. On January 5th, 2023, at approximately 12:56 p.m., ISP Detective Jake Schwecke and I, Detective Hugh Powell, interviewed blank in person at Moscow Police Department. Blank is the blank at the blank located at blank, Pullman, Washington. Blank named the following employees who were interviewed via telephone. Bunch of names, I guess. The interview is in reference to Bryan Kohberger staying at the blank from June 30th, 2022 to July 1st, 2022. 41-year-old female, 48-year-old male. Witness number 3 and number 4, they don't have any information on. Okay. I want to preface this document. Chris, you still in here? We were talking about this earlier. Okay. I want to preface this document and show you guys something. I don't really know. Chris told me, my buddy was like, don't put too much into this because this guy has had forever to show you proof of anything, and he's basically said not to. Not said not to, but he hasn't done it, okay? What we're going to read here is where Kohberger was staying at a hotel and apparently left a card key for someone, and it looks like that someone never showed up to pick up the key. This person, I'm going to actually pull up the comment. This person, some of you might have interacted with him yesterday, day before yesterday. This person has been telling me for 2 years now. I have screenshots saved of this guy. He's been telling me the same story for a while. But I've told him 1,000 times, send me the proof. You can send me stuff on Twitter. You could email me. You can message me on Facebook. Like, there's ways this guy could have came to me with information, could have made it to where it was a conversation, but instead he just leaves this exact same comment every single time, doesn't give any proof to anything, and that's just what it is. This is just what he does, okay? Okay, so let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Yesterday, and again, this is like the 18th time this guy has like said this shit to me. Yesterday, this account, let me see what it looks like on here. Can you guys see it? Okay. This account 2 days ago, and again, has been telling me this forever now, same story for forever, and again, will not show me any proof. He has been telling me forever that there is a connection between Bryan and what he claims to be Maddie Mogen. This is his comment. They do have a connection. I'm from Moscow, and a server I worked with was told by a family member of victim. Never says, I mean, he never specifically says who, but I'm going to assume he means Maddie with the way that his context is here. Was told by a family of victim that their daughter knew him from OF. And also a friend was a manager of a hotel. BK left a note at front desk to leave a key for Maddie. There's supposedly evidence including credit cards of him being there and leaving a note. Now, I'm going to have to go over here to see the next comment because I responded to the second comment that this guy left right here. And I told him, there's no connection. They told us that there was no connection. And like, you've had like time. Oh, crap. You've had time. Where'd it go? Where did it go? Hold on. I told him, you've had time to like send me stuff. I basically was like, send me your friend's subpoena. Because he said that his friend was supposed to testify. And I'm like, there's no way that they would have somebody come and testify to a connection between Bryan Kohberger and one of the victims and then still stand up and be like, yeah, there's no connection. I don't believe you, bro. But this is what he's been telling me this entire freaking time. This entire time. He goes, obviously, it's most likely Maddie Mogen. Why is everyone trying to change the facts? What facts? You haven't given me any facts. And I basically is like, if it was a Maddie, it's not Maddie Mogen. It could have been the other Maddie Moy or whatever, or any other Maddie. Like, there could have been all kinds of other Maddies. If this was Maddie Mogen, we would not be hearing from everybody and they mama's mama that worked this case that they dug and could not find anything. There is a report about the key being left at the hotel, and they are still saying that in this investigation, there is no connection to Bryan and the victims. None. So then whenever I said the name in the report is redacted, he says, redacted, this was going to be in court. My friend was going to testify about it. It's evidence. So 6 hours ago, I said, where is your friend's subpoena? Email it to me. And notice he hasn't responded. This is what this guy has done every single time. But the only problem I have is that his story has remained the same. It's about somebody at a restaurant said something to a friend that worked with him at that restaurant. And then on top of that, his other friend is the hotel person and knows all this bullshit. The only issue I have is that now we have this report about this actually happening. But the person's name is redacted. And again, we've got no connections between him and the victims. So I don't know what kind of game of telephone went on with this guy and who he was told and what he was told and how it was told to him. But he has been convinced for 2.5 years now that this is about Maddie Mogen, and nothing that has been said has changed his mind. And like I've said, he has Twitter, he has TikTok, he has Facebook, he has email where he could have sent me proof. He could have had a conversation with me. I don't know if this guy is posting this literally anywhere else. I don't go and look for his comments. I just know that every 2 to 3 months, he pops up with the exact same story here on my channel over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And now we have a document about the hotel. So I don't know if me finally reading this document is going to make him realize he's wrong about what the connection is. Like his story is like half right, which is interesting enough in itself because this is about a hotel and a key being left and blah, 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 and all the things. But who he's claiming it's about is wrong. So maybe this is going to make him realize that, but probably not because he seems pretty set. All right. On January 5th, 2023, at approximately 12:56, Detective Schwecke and I interviewed Blank at MPD. Blank is the blank at the blank in Pullman, Washington. Blank provided receipts and documentation regarding Kohberger's stay at the blank from June 30th of 2022 to July 1st of 2022. So that's like one night. That's one night. Blank called in a tip to the FBI tip line on December 30th, 2022. However, the interview took place after the probable cause affidavit for Kohberger's arrest was released to the public on January 5th, 2023. So he called in after the arrest was announced. And then the information wasn't actually obtained from this person until after the PCA was released. So if it was really Maddie, the victim, Maddie, don't you think this tip would have been called in before the day that he was arrested? Brandino. That's the dude, by the way. I'm just saying. A Kohberger checked in on June 30th, 2022 at approximately 4:52 p.m. The reservation was made in blank Kohberger's name through Expedia, but only Kohberger was seen, meaning one of his parents probably reserved this for him. Blank was training as a new front desk clerk and checked Kohberger in. Blank overcharged Kohberger during the check-in process. Kohberger became upset due to the mistakes made on his bill during check-in. The room had already been paid for through Expedia, but he was charged again. I mean, you think I'm not going to be throwing a fit? You best give me my money. Think I'm playing about to double charge me. No, I'd be throwing a whole Karen. Trust me. Blank corrected the mistakes on the billing, and he became nice once everything became corrected. Yeah, once you give him my money back and fix the problem, I don't have a reason to be an asshole to you anymore. So I can relate. Kohberger later came down to the front desk and asked her to make a set of key cards for his room and leave them for someone named Blank. Meaning he probably got on Twitter, not Twitter, what is it, Tinder, and probably was doing some swiping because we know he had it on his phone. The following morning, she went upstairs to see if Kohberger was going to check out at the appointed noon checkout time. As she approached his room to contact him, he was standing in the doorway leaving. As they walked down to the front desk, they talked about sheets and collecting knives. Yeah? Show me the footage on that one. Once at the front desk, they talked about self-defense weapons and their knife collections. The key cards for Blank were still at the front desk when he was checking out. So whoever he was leaving the cards for didn't show up. Her night auditor, Blank and Blank, remembered seeing the key card that was left for Blank at the front desk. Blank said she was unable to fix the mistakes in the billing during check-in, and they had to be fixed the next day by her Blank. But they just said that everything got fixed and he became nice again. So which one is it? Then and there or after the fact? You can't be both. During the interview, Blank changed her story every time we would circle back to clarify. Oh, I hope Brandino is paying attention. You paying attention, Brandino? Your friend keeps changing her story. During the interview, Blank changed her story every time we would circle back to clarify her timeline and confirm her role and the action she took during Kohberger's stay. Your friend's lying, Brandino. On January 5th, 2023, at approximately 4:06, Detective Schwecke and I interviewed blank via telephone. The following is a summary of our interview. For full details, review the audio recording. During the summer of 2022, Blank worked at the Blank Hotel in Pullman, Washington. She worked the front desk at the hotel. She quit sometime before October. Blank was her manager and called to tell her that she had checked in the suspect of the Moscow homicide. Blank told her that she had double charged him and he became really upset, but then he became nice and kept coming downstairs flirting with her. Okay. She did not see anyone else during check-in with him, nor did she remember Kohberger requesting a key to be made for a visiting guest. So that's a non-substantiated story. What in the actual frick just fell? Why did that fall? Do I have a ghost? The dog's not in here for once. Okay. She normally worked at the front desk from 3:30 to 11:30. Okay, so no keys. No keys there. On January 5th, 2023, at approximately 3:27 p.m., Detective Schwecke and I interviewed Blank via telephone. The following is a summary of our interview. For full details, I would love to hear the interview here of Brandino's friend being a liar. Annoying. Blank has worked for the Blank for over 2 years and primarily works the front desk and the night audit. He worked the evening of July 1st, 2022 at the front desk and started around 3:30 p.m. after Kohberger would have already checked out. He remembered seeing some spare key cards that were left at the front desk at the start of his shift. Normally, when a guest requests to leave a room key for a visitor, it is put in the computer under the guest's name, and when the visitor shows up, they are issued a card. Sometimes they make the key cards before the visitor shows up and then pass them on to an employee after taking over the next shift. On January 5th, 2022, at approximately 4:13 p.m., Detective Schwecke and I interviewed Blank via the phone. The following is a summary of our interview. For full details, blah, blah, blah. Blank was working as a night auditor on June 30th, 2022, and started his shift at 11 p.m. The following morning, his shift ended at 7. He heard secondhand from Blank that she made a key card for Kohberger that was made for Blank. Okay, but she just literally said up here that she didn't even remember doing that. That story came from somebody else. Is it true or is it not? He doesn't remember for sure if he saw the key card while he was working his shift on the 30th, but he does remember that no one came in that evening asking for a card. Is this the same person's story again? Because this is a night auditor, dude. It looks like it's a different schedule. So one guy says, I remember seeing some cards. The next guy was like, yeah, I heard something but didn't see anything. He doesn't remember for sure if he saw the key card while he was working his shift on the 30th, but he does remember that no one came in that evening asking for a key card to Kohberger's room. On January 5th, 2023, at approximately 3:53 p.m., Detective Schwecke and I interviewed Blank via telephone. The following is a summary of our interview. For full details, review the audio recording. Blank has worked at the Blank in Pullman for 8 years as the Blank. He had no interaction with Kohberger during his stay at the Blank. This is an odd, like, hotel name. That would be so easy to actually, like, go in and find because of the way that it's spread out. When when he came into work the next morning, he remembered seeing a key card at the front desk that had the name Blank written on it. At the time, he was unaware of what guest had requested it. Once Kohberger's name had been released as a suspect in the homicide case, Blank informed him that he had been a guest at the hotel and mentioned he was the one who requested a key card for someone named Blank. He remembers Blank fixing the overcharging of Kohberger's credit card when Blank made the mistake during his check-in. Okay, so there was a card, it was never picked up, or there wasn't a card and it was never picked up. The stories seem to go back and forth the same way that the chick that was originally telling the story did. But regardless, this is not one of the victims. Not one of the victims. Okay, number 133, probably Holiday Inn. Yeah, probably so. Right, one of those. Yeah, all secondhand, and the guy not remembering actually seeing anything, and then another guy saying that he remembers seeing something with a name on it, but doesn't know exactly who it was. It literally, like at this point, could have been anybody because none of their stories are matching up or making any sense. And isn't there like footage of this kind of stuff? Oh, maybe by then it wouldn't have been. It would have been deleted because it had been months and months and months, months and months and months. Okay, number 133, Hugh Powell. On November 13th, 2022. Okay, this is whenever they called in ISP. Okay, on December 3rd, 2022, ISP Detective Hugh Powell returned to the crime scene for further crime scene processing and evidence collection. All items collected for evidence were turned over to MPD. On December 3rd, 2022, at about 5:20 p.m., I returned to 1122 King Road in Moscow, along with Detective Jake Schwecke and Detective Ryan O'Hara for further processing. The items of evidence were marked with numbered placards, and I photographed the exhibits. The following evidence was recorded and or collected. Empty Keystone light can located in the stairway between the first and second floor. Black Jan Sport backpack located on the living room floor along the north wall. They're just now picking that damn thing up. Empty Keystone light can located on top of the vanity. Why are you just picking up Keystone? That is specifically directed at one person because that's a personal preference. So I'm really curious as to who this is aimed at this point. Empty Keystone light can located on top of the vanity along the south wall on the first floor. Opened full Keystone can located on top of the vanity along the south wall on the first floor. At about 5:50 p.m., I locked the front door, notified the security guard of our status, and left the scene. I transported the items to MPD. Why? Who's Keystone? And here's the photographs we've already looked at. But who's Keystone? Like, why are you specifically only giving a shit about the Keystone cans? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. You're right. You're right. Yeah, we looked at these the other day. He did say something about a backpack too. So are they trying to think that maybe this is the backpack that Jack Showalter used? Because maybe they didn't find it at his apartment? I mean, it's all good, cool, but this isn't where the backpack was the night of the crime. This is where the backpack ended up after everybody went in there and moved shit all over the place. This is not anywhere near the original spot. It was way that way. All that way. What bedroom is this? If it said first floor, then that would be Bethany's. Right? It is Bethany's. First floor, east bedroom. Right? Looking at the house, this is the front, this is the balcony. So this is the north side. If you're looking at like the Google map, that's where I always try to figure out the north, south, east, west thing is the way that it was on the Google map. Northeast, that was Bethany's room. So what does Bethany have to do with Jack Showalter? And that would mean that these are being taken in Bethany's room. Right here. Interesting. So yeah, this is Bethany's stuff. Interesting. But see, this, I'm not sure if this is her closet. Let me see what this says, because I could have sworn that we saw that closet in like the other photos from MPD, and it was like more towards Xana's room. I mean, as best as we could try to like understand a little bit. They don't have that photo listed in here. Empty Keystone can on the stairway between the first and second floor. We saw that one. We saw the backpack. Then they have the full can on the vanity and the empty can. They don't even have the picture of the closet listed. So why is this in here? And is this Bethany's or is this Xana's? Because I swore we saw this get up right here, this bottle, this box, and this box right here in the background of like Xana's closet on the MPD photos. Because look, there's the bag. And there's like another beer box like right here by this bag. And I see that there's a Keystone in there, but there's a bunch of other stuff in there too that doesn't belong in there. Interesting if that is Jack Showalter's Keystone and it's in Bethany's room. Nope. I wonder, and there's like two-ish, so that's weird. Well, those were photos of Bethany's room. But when it comes to the ISP stuff, you're right. They've blocked out everything when it comes to Dylan and Bethany's rooms too. Even like the going through and like seeing just like the doorways, they were like, nope. No, the Coors Light box in Xana's room was next to that bag, and it was closer to like a desk. But there was also, let me see if I still have the screenshot so I can show y'all what I'm talking about. Maybe I still have it. I could be wrong. I could be like remembering it wrong. Let's see which one would have the bag part. Mm-hmm. No. These aren't everything, so maybe this isn't it. Maybe it's not her closet. Because the bag that's next to the Coors Light box is more scrunched down than that one. So no, I was wrong. That's probably Bethany's closet. I can imagine that was Bethany's closet. I don't know why they wouldn't like have something listed. It's kind of stupid. Okay, 134. Ryan O'Hara. Okay. They assisted with multiple interviews, follow-ups, and tips investigations. I processed a copy of the in-person interview audio recordings into evidence at the Moscow Police Department. So this is like multiple people again. And after this, at this point, they've already have Kohberger arrested. So a 19-year-old male, a 73-year-old male, 20-year-old female, 19-year-old male. Okay. Tip 8261 on January 18th, 2023. A phone tip was called in by blank regarding a suspicious vehicle similar to that of the suspect vehicle parked at the end of his driveway for a few minutes in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. So you wait until there's an arrest weeks later to report this instead of like at the time of the crime, closer to when this happened. Okay. Blank lives at blank in Moscow, Idaho. I contacted blank via phone on January 18th, 2023 at 2:23 p.m. The following is a summary of the information he provided. He recalled the event after the possible route Kohberger had taken after the murders was published. He went downstairs to let his dog out around 5 to 5:30 and noticed a white car similar to that of the suspect vehicle parked at the end of his driveway. After a few minutes, the car pulled out and stopped at the stop sign at US Highway 95 for quite a while before proceeding onto the highway. He stated it is not uncommon for vehicles to make a wrong turn onto blank and use his driveway to turn around and consult their GPS. Okay. On January 13th, something about a receipt. Okay. On January 13th, 2023, I was given a task by FBI forensic accountant Michael Douglas through ISP Detective Gideon Roberts. Kohberger's bank card ending in 1973 had been used at blank. F.A. Douglas requested a copy of the receipt for that transaction. That's a really long name of a business. That's a really long name. I went to the blank location in Uniontown, Washington. This location is a remote blank with no visible surveillance cameras or staff on site. I contacted blank at the blank headquarters office in Lewiston, Idaho on January 18th, 2023. Blank sent me an email containing the following. So he bought gas 11/23/22 at 2:36, almost 2:37 p.m. Okay. 4.69 a gallon. Whew! That's painful. All this is blanked out for some reason. I don't know why in the world all this stuff would be blanked out. I guess it's like the name of the person, their position, the company name, and like some contact information probably. I forwarded the email to FBI Staff Operations Specialist Maria Tyndall on January 18th, 2023. Now we have another interview. Done an MPD. Blank had called in to the FBI tip line to report a possible interaction he had with Kohberger. The following is a summary. On October 9th, 2022, at about 1:30 to 2 a.m., Blank and his friend were walking along a trail near the golf course looking for golf balls. Blank heard a branch snap behind him. He turned around and was startled when he saw an unknown male and told him, "Oh shit, you scared me." The male did not say anything in response and kept walking on the trail. The man had a slim face with slim cheekbones, a defined face, and shorter, curlier hair. The male was wearing a dark hoodie with a dark Carhartt-style overcoat and dark pants with dark hiking-type boots. Cool. Blank interview. On January 19th, 2023, at about 2:32 p.m., interview was conducted at WSU. The following is a summary. She was looking for her teacher's assistant and mistakenly went into the Wilson Short Hall and saw Kohberger there. He asked her if she needed anything. She said she did not. He was nice, but it was awkward. She got a little bit of a weird vibe, but nothing too crazy. He seemed to frequent the bookie. What the frick does that mean? Like, huh? Is it a bar or something? What is the bookie? She thought her feelings were possibly based on the layout and the vibe of the building. He made a lot of eye contact, like you couldn't look away type of eye contact. He seemed proper, but kind of shy and awkward. What the frick is the bookie? This is I don't understand what they're trying to tell me in this. I'm not sure what they're trying to tell me with this. Especially since this is like the only time you've ever had an interaction with him. What does he seem to frequent the bookie mean? You talked to him for 5 seconds. I don't understand. Okay. Blank interview. On January 24th, 2023, ISP Detective Jake Schwecke and I interviewed blank at Washington State University in the bookie bookstore. Okay. That makes sense. But how did she know that? This was like a chance encounter for 2 seconds. Okay. Okay. This is the bookstore where he is a blank of the blank of the blank. Blank had been named in a previous interview with blank. His coworker blank stated blank would act as a buffer between her and Kohberger when he would come into the blank. The following is a summary of the information provided. He felt Kohberger was annoying and wanted him to leave every time he came through his line. He is not fond of customers that talk too much. So you just don't like anybody then. You just proved that. Kohberger would ask blank for a discount, i.e. order an Americano, but ask for a brewed coffee price. He's a haggler. That's a problem. He felt like Kohberger was attempting to flirt with blank and was absolutely zeroing in on her. He felt like Kohberger was bad at flirting. Why are you watching him so closely, bro? He felt blank was too polite to Kohberger, which he felt Kohberger interpreted as flirting, or was she actually like flirting with him and you didn't like it because you liked her and that's why you don't like Kohberger? Is that what's happening here? He told blank he would start telling Kohberger she was on the phone when he would come in so she wouldn't have to interact with him. Did she ask you to do that, sir? Blank was too polite to ask him to do this. He did it on his own because he felt if he were a woman receiving unwanted attention, he would want somebody to do it for him. Honey, baby. She never told you it was unwanted. You took that upon your damn self. That's becoming extremely clear. You took it upon yourself. You didn't like him because he talked too much. He flirted with your coworker who you obviously have a thing for, and you didn't like the fact that it looked like she was flirting back, so you felt the need to cock block him. This is a cock block. If I've ever seen one written in black and white texting. That's what this is. This shit is getting entertaining. I have to admit. This is insane. This shit is hilarious. I can't. Unbelievable. Like, I'm serious. Look it up. You'll find this document right next to it in Wikipedia. This is wild. Okay, we're on the last one. Tonight's been entertaining, I will say. Some of the shit in here is insane. Woo! Okay. Really? Oh my god. It's been around forever. Oh my god, forever. It used to be said all the time in like movies and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, As the College Life Turned should have definitely been a series, because what? This is insane. Okay. Okay. The last one for the night. 135. Ryan O'Hara. Okay. January 18th, 2023. Him and Gideon Roberts interviewed Matthew Harris at the Moscow Police Department. Wow, they actually didn't even bother even a little to block this dude's name out. Okay, interviewed in Moscow. He was named. Now you want to redact him? Come on now. Blank was named in phone tip 6487 and 6492 related to the quadruple homicide. So this is after Bryan Kohberger is arrested. They are still actually going in and taking tips of other people. Interesting. But then it says nothing of evidentiary value was obtained. Well, I guess we'll decide that with a little bit of information that we do have. It doesn't look like there's anything though. 22-year-old male. On January 18th, 2023, same thing I just read. He is not enrolled in classes for the spring 2023 semester. He did not remember his activities on the days leading up to the homicides. He remembered getting the vandal alert on his phone the day of the homicides and staying in that night somewhat in shock. He was working as a blank in the fall 2022 semester and worked on grading and took graded papers in on the Monday following the homicides. He had some blank toward the end of the semester and took an incomplete on his classes. His blanks were unrelated to the homicides. Are we trying to say that this dude has injuries? He was feeling additional stress with his blank and had a history of blank. Oh, I bet you he's a self-herder. I bet you he's a self-herder. And then this, wow, all of these redactions are in freaking sane. Wow, wow, and wow, and wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines completely redacted. And they gave us his name. Matthew Harris. Year of birth 2000. Moscow, Idaho. Jesus Christ. Okay. He went to blank and blank with Goncalves and possibly one of the other victims, but never had any contact with them. And then audio recorded and turned over. Wow. And so much of that just blacked out. Crapazoli. Wowzas. Okay. Well, that's it for tonight. We learned a lot. We learned a lot. Do you still not know what it is? Because, I mean, I can sort of explain it, I guess. It's basically where you apparently go and, like, make an account and pay a subscription price to watch people do dirty, nasty things. Sometimes to themselves, sometimes with other people. That's what that is. In case you needed. No. Well, thank you. Okay. They do. Thanks for being here. Wild stuff today. I mean, you can't, the stuff coming through these documents, if I weren't laughing at it, then I don't know what the reaction would be. Insane stuff. Oh my God, so crazy. Did it? See, the direction stuff I need to go back and really pay attention to. Yeah, basically, nasty stuff. It has, hasn't it? Crazy. No, nothing I've seen. Nothing I've seen. It's a bunch of rumor that I haven't seen anything about, and I've always felt like this. I know that there was like a really, really, really like bad rush to go in and like clean up a bunch of stuff, right? But I feel like if there was something like that out there, something would have leaked. There would have been like a screenshot of somebody's account. There would have been something by now, I feel like, and there's not anything. And there's not any subpoenas for that stuff either. Not for him or them. But I do find it interesting that one of the search terms that they looked for to see like who was looking up certain things was that King's girls with the Z's. So I don't know if it would directly need to be OF or if there are other platforms for that kind of thing, or if that stuff can just be posted on certain social media websites. I don't really know. I don't really dig into stuff like that deep. But the King's girls search terms was interesting because what the frickin's that? And so it kind of does lead you sort of that way because it's an odd term to be out there. King's girls. And I think there was like 2 different variations of it on the list. But as for anything official, no. The first person that really came out talking about it was, of course, JLR, talking about Kaylee and Maddie. And, you know, he's the one that we see Steve putting his arm around. So there's that. I mean, there's a lot of suspicions about it. And it could be. But they did a good job hiding it. But I feel like if there was anything remotely close to any sort of connection between him and any of them, regardless of if it was that or not, it would be out there. Groups do have secrets. A lot of these groups have secrets. I mean, honestly, a lot of them don't have to do the nasty stuff to get money and attention. They're arm candy. It's like, just, come with me to the event, look pretty and smile. People still get paid to do that kind of stuff. There's services for it, and none of that stuff's allowed. It's like part of the contract. Very interesting stuff. Tonight was wild. A lot of just, some of these college people are straight up just disgusting. They instantly just basically saw him as somebody different and didn't want anything to do with him before he even had a chance, really, is what it seems like. And it's so funny how that one is like, oh, I'm basically like the mom of the group, but he asked me a question and then showed me that he actually had knowledge of what I'm studying, and it was just so offensive. I didn't want him under my wing. Well, some motherly then, honestly. Some interesting things we did. There was quite a lot to laugh about. Coffee date chick. Don't ever ask a girl out for coffee in a parking lot after talking to her in her office, because apparently it's going to be inappropriate and it's going to make her uncomfortable and it's going to be strange. Insane. Thanks for the $2 chronically disappointed. Link to thread in my profile. Oh, is this what you were talking about earlier? Trying to figure out if it was like Barriocha or something, right? Let me see if I can click on it. I have to get on YouTube because it won't let me click on the profiles through StreamYard. Hold on. See if it's gonna let me grab up here. Oh crap, it's not gonna let me do it. Okay, so it's not letting me go up to be able to click on your account. So if you're still in here, chronically disappointed, you're gonna have to comment so that I can see. Unless it'll let me do it like this. Oh, never mind. I figured it out. Go to channel. Posts. There's nothing on here. Did you say that you had it on your channel? Link to thread in my profile. Oh, maybe it's this you're talking about. All right, let me check it first. It's not letting me on because I keep my Nord on. So it's not letting me look at it. It's not letting me look at it. That's interesting. If you have screenshots of it, you can email them to me if you want to. That way I can look at them. But it's not letting me view anything. It's blocking it. Thanks for the $4.99. Text 317. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks for the $4.99. I've got something to say. There could be something in the girls' rooms, like a camera, that Maddie's mom would think would result in victim blaming. Maybe. Maybe so. But I mean, like, you'd walk into my room because, like, my bed and stuff's over there and my office stuff's on this side and here's all this stuff. So I don't know, but maybe. Very possible. Or something else. I mean, honestly, no matter what it was, it doesn't constitute what happened. But I mean, I sort of get that concept that she has there. Thanks for the $10. Wicked, Wild, and Wise. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Tomorrow, again, is the hearing for the restraining order stuff for releasing information when it comes to the, I always say the Mogen family, but I know her last name is now Laramie. Karen Laramie, Maddie's mom, and then we have supporting documents from 3 out of 4 of the Chapins. We haven't seen anything from Hunter. We have Maisie, we have Jim, we have Stacy. We have an amended one from both Maisie and Stacy, and nothing from Hunter, which I find interesting. No, not really. There's usually some thought of something or another keeping me up at night, but that's fine. Okay. I will see you guys tomorrow in the morning. Let me see. Hold on. I think it's like 10 a.m. 10 a.m. in Moscow, Idaho is what time in Texas? I'm not good at all that stuff, so I always have to use like a little calculator. So 10 a.m. is noon here. I'm pretty sure that it's at noon. I mean, at 10 o'clock over there. So I'll be live for like 30 minutes before the hearing so we can make sure everything is set up and we can see what's going on. I don't know if they're going to be standing up and reading like any of their supporting information or if it's just going to be a decision being made and the lawyers are talking. I guess we'll find out. But that's tomorrow. And we'll be live for that. And then tomorrow, what's tomorrow? What is today? It's almost midnight and it's Wednesday at this point in time. So tomorrow, regardless of the hearing at 1 o'clock being something that we go live for, I'll be live tomorrow night as well because Thursday. So we'll do our Thursday night live. As long as nothing official breaks, then we're going to continue through the documents. I don't want to stop the documents just yet to go over the body cam again or to go over the 11-12 footage again the way that we need to until the documents are done. And I haven't been able to get on here as much as I would like to get these finished. So I'm hoping, I don't see why we shouldn't be done with these by Sunday if we keep doing it in 2-hour blocks. Hopefully. That way we can go on to the rest of the things, the article from the Barnharts that say certain stuff. There's a bunch of stuff that we need to like get done. And I'm just trying to get these done first before we start breaking it all apart. It's 10 a.m. in whatever time zone Moscow is in. Yeah, Moscow and Boise are an hour off, and Moscow is 2 hours away from me. I'm not good with time zones. I just like know how to figure it out a little bit. Right now it's midnight, my time. I'm Central. Yeah, Pacific is Latah County. Yeah. That word right there, which honestly I should know that by now because my son's best friend for the past like 4 years is a kid in that area, in Washington area. So you'd think that we would sort of like know all of this by now, but I guess we just sort of don't. Thanks for the $6.99. Animals are our angels. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get off of this. I do feel tired, but I'm glad that this kept me awake. I guess this mixture sort of works a little bit. Let me go ahead and roll this out. Y'all have a great night. Thanks for the super stickers and the super chats and all the support and you guys being here and wanting to listen to all this stuff because it's interesting, that's for sure. Interesting. Yeah, 12 hours from now. Yeah, well, it's his friend in real life. They like talk on the phone and stuff like that. They're the same age. Actually, I think my son is a year older than him. But it's actually funny because for years and years and years, I wouldn't allow Slade to have a microphone. Nothing. So he could have been like some weirdo in a basement playing with kids, but he wasn't. It's just I wouldn't let him talk for forever. So whenever I finally felt like he was old enough and responsible enough and they finally got to hear his voice, they were like not surprised, but I was like, I'm really wondering what they were thinking like the whole time. Because it was like 3 years, no microphone at all. He could have been anybody, but they've been friends for probably like, it has been a while. Maybe like 5 years now. Because they were all friends before their voices cracked. And now they all sound like deep old men voices. So yeah, it's been a long time. Been a super long time. Oh yeah. No, we don't do Roblox. My 7-year-old actually, he's been telling me that he wants to start a channel. And he wants to call it Don Don Does Things. And he wants his first video to be about how mad he is at Roblox for blocking Schlep and trying to protect the bad guys. Like, he's really mad about it. His 7-year-old brain is pissed at Roblox. He knows all about it. He knows details. He knows what Schlep was doing. He knows all of it. And he's angry. He doesn't understand why they would want to protect people like that whenever it's a kid's platform. According to his mind, it's a kid's platform. So he's mad. Oh, yeah. They're very, 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 very well aware. My oldest son is 16, and then I have a 7-year-old son, and then I have my 18-year-old daughter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Roblox is done. And my oldest son even told his friends, he's like, I don't care. I know everything that's going on. Mom told me about it. I'm not playing it. We're not supporting it. And they just don't. They play everything else together. Oh, yeah, he's pissed. He's so mad. He's really angry. But like I said, there's ways to explain things to kids at any age to where they're not left in the dark about stuff. So that's why he is good at understanding the concepts of things. He's really smart. He's one of those very technical, gonna do all the things that we compare to Sheldon Cooper here. I mean, that's another reason why some of these things I'm reading, I'm just like, this is my kid. This is this person that I know. This is this person that I know. And they all have like these certain traits, these certain things. Still waiting for the one thing, guys. Still waiting for the one thing. I appreciate that. I can say I'm almost 40. I'm almost 38. I'm 37. I was born in 88. No, I am not. I am very, very, very far away from there. I came from there. Where I am now, I used to live outside of DFW. Yeah, 18 is whenever you really got to start worrying, because now, like, you can't, like, say something because they're an adult. But you saw Ariel was in here yesterday. Like, she comes in here sometimes. Like, we still, like, talk about things. She still calls me about stuff that, like, gets her excited about stuff. She said she did see that some of you asked her what her thoughts were on the case now, because some of y'all know what she's been thinking since the very beginning. So she said she's going to put her thoughts down and then let me read it. I was like, okay. Okay. I'm going to get off of this now. Y'all have a great night. Yeah, if you explain it, exactly. If you explain what's going on, then if anything, they're mad at Roblox for being the reason why everything has gone to poop. It was instant. They had no issue. Yep. Oh, yeah. See, coding is good money. It's a good field to get into. It's a good field to get into. Okay, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and roll this banner out. Again, thank you so much for being in here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. All right, you guys. See y'all.